Welcome into the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Got a great show ahead, folks. I'm really looking forward to today's show because we're going to combine true crime and love and some sleepy stories. Not stories that are going to put you to sleep, by all means. No. This is going to keep you awake. In fact, it may even shock you. The book that I have today is called True Crime Sleep Stories, Volume 3, Love Gone Wrong. My guest today is author Kelli Brink. And I'll tell you, I tried to read this before bed, but it kept me awake. So it did the opposite thing of what it was supposed to do.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's okay, Kelli. I'll live through it. Let me tell you a little bit about Kelli before we bring her in. Kelli Brink has spent several years at the forefront of podcasting, seamlessly blending her roles as a host and consultant to create compelling narratives. A graduate of the University of Iowa. We won't hold it against her. I'm a Gopher fan. Sorry. With a bachelor's degree in communication studies, Kelli's passion for storytelling traces back to the childhood where she transformed everyday objects into imaginary microphones, which I did the same thing. Actually, I pissed off a trucker. I'll tell her about it in a bit. With an early love for radio, music, and all things audio, she has owned her craft to captivate audiences. When she's not behind the microphone or advising clients, Kelli loves to explore new cities, camp, kayak, and attend live music shows or enjoy a cold beverage around a campfire with friends and family. And now she brings her talents to the world of true crime, offering readers a deep, gripping look into the darker sides of human nature. And we'll take a look at that today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome into the first time to Darkness Radio, Kelli Brink. Kelli, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure to have you. You know what? Okay, I'm going to bring this up first thing, Kelli. Is this a look at love gone wrong, or is this a look at mutual psychopathy?
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. There are so many love stories like this where, you know, these like crazy people get together and join forces for evil, and it's just a force that cannot be reckoned with. It's pretty crazy, but yeah, yep.
Because it's you bring up some of the more well-known stories in true crime, but there's also some of the stories that no matter how many times you read them, they grab you, right? They're the stories that. Boy, they're the chilling stories. One, but when you look at them, you say, okay, can someone who kills over and over again, or even kills the people closest to them, do they truly love them? Have you ever sat back and thought about that? Is there really the capability to love and kill at the same time?
No, I mean, I think it's when love turns into obsession. And I think it's like when someone has maybe underlying mental conditions already, and they just get so obsessed with someone. It's like obsessed with the person and wanting to control them. And when things might not go their way, it turns violent often. So, yeah, like there are statistics about like murders and violence in a relationship, murders and violence. And most of the time, I mean, a lot of the time, there's a really high percentage that it's someone it's like a domestic situation or like in a romantic relationship. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just think it's definitely like there's a fine line where love can turn into obsession, and all the stories in this book are a good example of that.
What I loved was in the beginning of the book, you made it very clear, this has nothing to do with me, none of my relationships. My relationships are good, so don't think it reflects on me whatsoever. So I love that
I've been really lucky. I've never experienced anything like what I write about. So yeah, it's just an interesting topic. And it was released around Valentine's Day. So I thought, let's go with the romantic, crazy stories. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so it comes out around Valentine's Day. Is that your call or is that the publisher's call?
So I had been wanting to write a book like this for a while. I just kept stumbling across really interesting cases of killer couples and, with a romantic twist, stories with a romantic twist. It was a few months before Valentine's Day. And I thought, let's just incorporate that into it. And my publisher loved the idea. He was like, yeah, great. It's like very marketable, Valentine's Day, love gone wrong. So that's what we went for.
Well, it fits in with the people who don't necessarily want to celebrate Valentine's Day, right?
It does, yes.
Yeah.
And the people who are maybe single on Valentine's Day, it's a good reminder, like, why they should stay single, maybe. But yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. I want to kind of talk a little bit, without spoiling too much of the book, I do kind of want to gloss over a few of the cases today and talk a little bit about that, whether it be love or mutual psychopathy. Again, I know I keep hitting that term, but the reason why is when you get into some of the cases, it does trip that. I don't know about you, Kelly, but I'm fascinated with psychology, and I'm fascinated. I think we all are. I think those of us who are fascinated with true crime, we like to know what makes people tick, right? And what it is that is kind of lying behind those eyes of some of these killers, right? And
that's where. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, that's really what got me into true crime to begin with. I've always been interested in the psychology behind the killer, really. Like, I always felt empathy and sympathy for the victim, but I always was wondering, because I would never, I don't think, be able to kill someone. Even in an extreme case, I think I'd have a lot of trouble taking a life. So I was always very curious about what's different in these people's minds that allows them to do such horrible acts. So that's how I got into it to begin with. But yeah.
So are you of a mind, and let's go down this road real quick before we get into the cases. Are you of a mind that it's something in the wiring, or is it a bit of nurture? Is it the way someone's raised, or is it a bit of both?
I think it's definitely both. I think some people are raised in unfortunate circumstances where they suffer abuse, trauma, PTSD, things that I could not even dream of having to go through. Some people take that and they may have an easier time dealing with it and go on to do great things in life and be a normal person. Sometimes they may have some sort of underlying psychopathy, some sort of condition that does not allow them to cope, and they turn to violence, crime, things like that. So I think it's definitely a combination of nature and nurture. Yeah.
I want to take it one step further, because you always hear about there's this formula for making a serial killer, right? It almost always starts with the
McDonald triad.
Yes, right. Okay, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Do you believe that's always the case, or is there an unusual way to make a serial killer? Is there an avant-garde way? Is there a way of maybe going around that McDonald triad? And can you find a roundabout way of screwing up a person to get them to that point?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if there's any one way to make a murderer, make a serial killer. Mm-hmm. But there are those things that keep coming up, those themes. So abuse and trauma and things like that in their past, when they were children, absent parents or detached mothers in some cases. But the McDonald triad is interesting because one of them is like torturing animals. Mm-hmm. That is something with like some of the serial killers that you think of, like Jeffrey Dahmer and Ed Gein and people like that. There's always there. It just keeps coming up. So there's got to be something to that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not necessarily a rinse and repeat type thing where it has to happen with everyone, but like reading your book, again, True Crime Sleep Stories, Volume 3, there's one case in particular where you go, well, wait a minute, this didn't necessarily start the way you would think. And
which one is that?
That would be the giggling granny, right? That's not necessarily the torturing animals or bedwetting or. You know
what? You're right. That's a great example.
Right.
I think she had a lot of bad experiences with men. She was jaded. She was experiencing poverty. Mm-hmm. She saw no way out of that until these men came into her life, and she was an opportunistic serial killer. I think in that case, she was killing in a way that would better her financially and in life. And she didn't see them as like she didn't value human life all that much. But that is an interesting case. They don't talk really about her childhood all that much. So,
and what's interesting is Nannie Doss is the giggling granny. She's reading these romance magazines or novels. And it's like she's looking for this idealized life. Like she's reaching for this ideal that she has in her mind, right? And she's gonna stretch and reach for this. And she's going to try and achieve it in her own life. But it's like she needs to wipe the slate clean every time she doesn't get it. And wiping the slate clean for her is to kill whoever's in the way. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's not divorcing. It's not giving a child away. It's not, it's not getting rid of the person in her life a different way.
Right.
It's eliminating them totally.
It is. Something about that. It just floors me reading these cases back in those days. I can't remember what year that was exactly, but back in the old days, you could just take a life insurance policy out on anyone. Just take a life insurance policy out on a random, like your next door neighbor or the guy you're dating or whoever. And that's what she did over and over again and would kill the people and collect on these policies. I'm like, people were so honest, really, back in those days.
Yeah. And her crimes went between 1920 and 1954. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. Those insurance policies would, pretty much were open-ended and pretty honest, like you mentioned, Kelly. They'd take you at your word. And let's face it, toxicology screenings weren't that great. I mean,
right.
They weren't all that accurate. And you could say to someone, if you at least acted somewhat to be the doting wife and said, well, I did my best, but he just was very, very ill. People fell ill. The child mortality rate was quite high. So, you had spares, so to speak, right?
Wow. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And that's a horrible mentality. I know it's a horrible mentality, but you had spare children in case children fell off, right? Mm-hmm. So it was just expected that this would happen. And you put insurance policies on children.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Times were so hard back then, so much illness and so many hardworking people who would die by accidents and things like that too. But yeah, she would poison the people in her life, collect the insurance policy, rinse and repeat, like you said. Yeah.
And it's only when she starts to accumulate wealth and that we get the idea that maybe she's not so sweet, right? Yeah,
right. And she always played the part of, though, the sweet, doting mother and wife. And she had that giggly, bubbly demeanor that people were like, she would never kill someone. What? She could never be guilty of something like this. She was very detached, I think, from her crimes and from the reality. She had this giggle. She would kind of like talk about what she had done and laugh about it. So she was definitely deranged, definitely had some sort of something going on up there. Yeah.
I'll save it for the book for people to find out where things turn cold and where your blood runs cold. With Nannie Doss.
That's just a really interesting case, though. Yeah,
but she's not your typical, typical formulaic serial killer. She's not the one that you look at and go, well, of course you could see it coming down the pike. That's the one that if you were going to point one out, that's it.
Yeah, the Lonely Hearts Killer is what they called her, or, the giggling granny. So definitely applicable for Valentine's Day when the book was released. Yeah.
Right. Now, I'll ask with Nannie Doss and maybe with one or two others. I know with the Ken and Barbie Killer, the female in the Ken and Barbie Killer isn't necessarily your typical serial killer either. I'm noticing with a lot of the female equivalents in these stories, they're not. I know with males they tend to be. I shouldn't say that. I'm not going to draw the stereotype here. I'm sorry, Kelly. But you don't tend to have the same male equivalent origin stories. That's what I'm looking for here. Of how they get drawn into the violence and how they get drawn into the, it's more of a, what's the words I'm looking for here?
Coercive control, something like that, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the men, I think they start most of the time the way we were talking about, but then they take on a female partner, and the women, I think I think that shows some like dark intent as well, because I think they frequently take a woman who is maybe, has maybe some self-esteem issues, is easily controllable, and they target a certain type of woman, I think. And they're very able to manipulate them into doing whatever they want. And they just use, like in the cases in this book, they use the women for their needs and as an accomplice and a helper, someone to cover up their crimes. And it's definitely not really love. No.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, there is one case at the end of the book that definitely was straight outrage, and rightfully so. And I hate to skip to the end of the book, but let's talk about it before the break here.
Yeah.
And that's Lorena Bobbitt. Now, sadly, became a punchline in our lexicon, but it should be far from a punchline. Yeah.
I wanted to include something that was like a non-murder story. And this was a case that rocked the news headlines for years. I mean, people still talk about it, and it has become a joke. It was very serious, though. Mm-hmm. And, I don't know. I don't really talk about my feelings on that case in the book. I kind of keep it, I just report the facts and ask the reader, well, what do you think? Why did this happen? But wow. I mean, that was something to do. Wow. I don't know if those actions were justified. She said she was going through a lot of abuse and things like that. Right. I don't know. That's quite an act.
Well, let's face it. When we step back from it, what is it? 30 years now? It's been 30 years now. When we step back from it, we look at it. I think we can look at it through a fresh set of eyes, right? Mm-hmm. And at the time, I think our society handled it horribly. Let's face it, we handled it horribly.
I agree.
If we would have looked at it through eyes now and said, you know what, this poor woman was suffering and nobody was helping her. If we would look at it through that and would have said, you know what, if somebody would have just took this jerk aside and said, before it got to this point, before it got to the point where she had to take physical action.
Yeah.
And would have said, you know what, we need to take you aside and we need to get you help, then it would have never come to this point.
Yeah. I think they obviously were in a really toxic relationship and should have severed ties rather than severing appendages.
Right.
But, it was, it's just interesting how he went on to, become very famous from it. And she kind of like left the public eye and went into hiding after that. For the most part, she did some talk shows and things like that, but he went on to have his adult film career and, kind of profited from it really, which was a shame, but
big time he profited from it. I mean, think of it this way, Kelly. To think of the rage that had to well up in Lorena. I mean, she had to be raped multiple times to get to that point. She had to be treaded on multiple times.
Right.
Over and over and over and over again. And she's a very proud woman from a proud culture who thought, I'm marrying this man, one, because he loves me, two, because I believe that he can provide for me, and three, that I'm going to do my best to be the best wife I can be to him, right?
Yeah.
Then she gets into this marriage and finds out I got to carry the entire damn thing myself.
Yeah.
Because he's worthless, right?
Yep.
And her family is against the whole thing. as it is too, and says, you know what, this guy's a bum. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Love make you do crazy things.
Right. And so she's got to be embarrassed, because her family has told her the entire time that, he was no good. We told you he's no good. So she's facing pressure there. So,
and I think it just erupted into this, it culminated into this horrific act that I don't even think she maybe knew what she was doing at the time when she did it, and was kind of just like in a zone and did it and fled the scene. And
she had to be seeing red. And like you point out brilliantly in the book, immediately there's remorse. You can tell on the 911 call, immediately there's remorse. And that's, as much as people may think this is screwed up for me saying this, that really is a sign of a good person. When they get on in front of an authority and say, you know what, I did something really bad. Yeah,
you're right. It is. It is. Like in all the other cases, there's very, very, very little, no remorse, really. I think from most of the people that I write about, there's no remorse. But she felt bad for what she did. She knew it was wrong. I don't even think she wanted to do it. She just kind of didn't know what else to do. And she just went with her instinct in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, like you said, I think John Wayne Bobbitt got the better end of everything.
I think so too. Yeah. Yeah. She did like some talk shows and things like that, like I said before, but after that, she just kind of like went into hiding and nobody really saw her ever again. I think she changed her name after that. But he kind of like owned it and was like still boasting his masculinity. Look what I can still do. She did that to me and I still, just gross, really.
Well, if you ever saw it, there wasn't much masculinity there to begin with.
I did not watch. I did not research that for the book. Maybe I should have, but I didn't do that.
That's the one joke I can get out of this entire thing. So there you go.
Now I want to go look.
Well, might as well. Well, with that, let's take our break. When we come back, we'll dig deeper into this wonderful book that Kelli has written. By the way, there's 2 other volumes as well, and we'll put up links to all 3 in the description of the program so you can take a look. Also, Kelli's got a podcast out there as well called True Crime Sleep Stories that we'll link to as well, so you can check out Kelli's podcast as well. But we're talking about True Crime Sleep Stories Volume 3, Love Gone Wrong. That's the volume we're talking about today. And when we come back, we'll talk about more stories about love gone wrong when we come back with Kelli Brink right here on the Best in True Crime Podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the Best in True Crime Podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. My guest is author Kelli Brink. The book is True Crime Sleep Stories, Volume 3, Love Gone Wrong. Or is it mutual psychopathy? Again, I'm using that term, Kelli. Mutual psychopathy.
It's not as catchy of a title, but maybe that's what I should have
people
gone
would people would say mutual psychopathy. What the hell is that? I mean, it just wouldn't. I like the way that it's put in the description when you go to Amazon. Love can be beautiful or deadly. Mm-hmm. And in my case, in most of my relationships, it's just been deadly. It's never been beautiful at all. So
ended in a dead end.
A dead end, yes. Yeah, it's been a huge cul-de-sac. It just, I turn right back around and go back to where I came from. It's Aw. Yeah.
Oh. I've been lucky. I haven't experienced anything too crazy. Nothing like the book, but
And there's some crazy stuff in the book, let me tell you. Although it's like I said, it's a wonderful book if you like reading about people who some people who get it in the end and some people who get away with it in the end. It's one of those books where love gone wrong and stories about love gone wrong are actually the most interesting stories, right? Because there's passion involved.
There's passion. Yes, absolutely. Passion can be good. Not so good sometimes. Right. Yes. Lots of passion in this book for sure. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's what I found the most interesting about this book in total is the fact that when you take a psychopathic killer and combine it with what's supposed to be passion, love, passion, and a passionate feeling, the two really don't mix, because a psychopath is supposed to be cold and calculating. Mm-hmm. And then you combine it with love, which is supposed to be this, especially true love, is supposed to be this overwhelming feel of passionate, passionate amour, so to speak.
Yeah.
The two don't mix. They just don't mix, Kelli.
No, they don't mix. But that's why I'm like, I don't think any of this really was love. I think there's really only one case I talk about in this book that I think is an example of actual love there. Mm-hmm. And that's Bonnie and Clyde. I do think they were in love. I don't even think they were two psychopaths getting together. And I think that story is a little bit different. I think they were like two people who experienced poverty and hardship during a time in America that everybody was going through a lot. And they were representative of like going against the man, like anti-establishment kind of like heroes in a way. I mean, they did a lot of terrible things. Let's get that straight. But I do think they were very much in love. And yeah.
So why those two, and why, as an American society and in the lexicon, did we blow them out of proportion and not two others? Why didn't we take? Because surely enough, there's other husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend teams that we could have taken in the society and blown them out of proportion.
Yeah, I think it was because they were, I think they were good at heart. People could really identify with them. They were actually kind of like a Robin Hood kind of couple. I feel like, like almost like taking from the rich, giving to the poor. They were not cold-blooded, calculated serial killers or harming children or anything like that a lot of these people do. So I just think people could really identify with them in that time.
Was it to the age, the fact that they were so young, and the fact that they didn't live to a nice ripe old age, or they didn't get to see a nice long life in a sunset and be able to retire together, or see a nice long life?
Such a tragedy, really. But I think there was some innocence that people viewed or saw in them, not like jaded, middle-aged people who had been through all this stuff. There's so much that they missed in life. And there was like a tragic innocence and in Bonnie and Clyde that people could see. Yeah.
I want to talk about another couple that aren't so innocent, that make your stomach turn. A match made in hell, the Ken and Barbie Killers. Boy, let me tell you, Kelli, when I read this chapter, it's a good thing I had eaten hours before, because I think I wanted to throw up in my mouth a little bit, to be honest with you.
Oh, I know. Just absolutely horrific what these people did, luring people in and taking advantage, and cold-blooded, brutal murderers. Yes.
Yeah. They, no, obviously their names aren't Ken and Barbie, but, and they're a little harder to pronounce.
Yes.
But you have two people that eventually want to get married, but it seemed like they're leeching off of everyone, and they have, again, we're talking about a female accomplice here who seems like she's going along with the whims of a male serial killer, but he manages to unveil himself to her in a weird kind of way. You're talking about Paul Bernardo and Carla. Is it Homolka? Is that how?
Homolka. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And they're clean cut. They look good. They're meticulous from head to toe. Paul's real confident. They both live in a suburb of Toronto. They're up in Canada. Everything seems like, they good, clean living, but Paul's got an issue. I mean, he's really got an issue. Tell us a little bit about Paul.
He's a serial rapist. That is his issue. I mean, he is just a horrible person doing horrific things to people. And but the worst part about them is they would videotape their crimes, these rapes and murders, videotape them so they could rewatch them later. And ultimately that would be part of their demise, having all of that incriminating evidence on tape. And Carla would help lure people in, victims for him. I think she was so in love and needed him so much, she thought. So she helped him. She would bring women to the house that he could victimize and murder. And she took part in these brutal murders as well. Yeah. Really disgusting case. I can see why it disturbed you. Yeah.
Can we even talk about the thing that disturbed me the most, which had to do with her sister?
Oh, the sister. Yes.
Yeah. You want to go ahead and tell that part?
Oh, why don't you tell it? I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
They hatched this plan shortly before they were going to announce their wedding, or they were going to announce their wedding, or they had announced their wedding. They were, I think, staying with the parents at that time, weren't they?
Mm-hmm,
if I remember right.
I think so. Yeah.
Getting ready to announce their wedding, and they decide that Paul's going to turn his fascinations towards Carla's sister, right?
Yes. He had a really sick fascination with the younger sister. So, yeah.
And so Carla goes along with this, which to me is just got creep factors of ick that go deeper than you can imagine.
Sister, right. Absolutely.
So they decide to hatch a plan where they're going to lure Carla, was it to the basement of the parents' house?
Yep.
Okay.
That's right. Yes.
And they decide to ply her with not only one sedative, but then a second sedative. And I don't, forgive me for not knowing what the name of the sedative is.
Yep.
They overply her with the sedative, and she ends up vomiting.
Yes.
Which, lucky for them, she did, because that's what the coroner ends up saying, is that she accidentally died of asphyxiation.
Yep.
They didn't necessarily do a correct autopsy on her to find out whether she had been drugged.
Right. So they were able to kind of cover that up with that. Yeah.
The other disgusting acts, I'll let you read the book, because it's a little stomach turning.
It's really stomach turning. And I don't normally put those kinds of details in my books, but this one was a little extreme. This book I usually skim over. I don't get super graphic, but I did include all the details of the.
Well, I think it's necessary, because it was, I think rightfully so. You have to know what kind of a monster Paul really was, and the depths of depravity that both Paul and Carla went to, right?
Yeah. And they were called the Ken and Barbie Killers, which is ironic. I mean, you just don't think of people who are in a romantic relationship and, who look, by all appearances, totally normal, like you'd see walking down the street or your next door neighbors. You just don't think of people like that. And it's so scary what could be lurking behind closed doors like them.
But the coup de grace, Kelly, the thing that really got my ire was the fact that as they're going to bury her sister at the funeral, they had the balls to take a wedding invitation and drop it into the grave.
Yeah. I mean, just like a serial killer mark, people who keep trinkets and stuff like that. It's just another. It's
like a big FU, just like like pissing on the grave.
Exactly.
Was what it was like.
Yeah. Just a final insult to what was already a horrific act.
One final desecration on top of everything else, which was disgusting. Yeah. And again, we'll let you order the book, which again, we have a link in the description of this program so that you can pick up True Crime Sleep Stories Volume 3, Love Gone Wrong, to find out what exactly we're talking about, how bad that final demise was of Carla's sister, so that you can get just as disgusted as I am.
Oh, it was so bad. And this book, after I wrote this book, I had to take a little break from true crime. I will tell you, like, your reaction was, it was an unsavory thing to read, but writing, there's about 15, I think, stories in this book. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all pretty bad. It just shows the extent of like human depravity. So yeah.
One of the more, speaking of evil couples, let's talk a little bit about Fred and Rose West out of England.
Yes.
Speaking of one of those couples that you don't know whether it's love or whether it's psychopathy, right? Tell us a little bit about Fred and Rose West.
Yeah. So, well, they seemed, again, like a pretty normal couple. They had some shady stuff in both of their backgrounds, but they met each other, fell in love, and did some terrible things together. But what's the worst is the children. There were children involved, young people involved. They preyed on some of the most innocent people. They befriended people in the community and then ended up murdering them. They really were able to gain people's trust, kids' trust and stuff. And they just left a trail of suffering and destruction, really, in after their, love. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It's the fact that the victims were so young. Yeah.
So young, so innocent. And it's just so rare for a woman to, I feel, be wired that way to do such horrible things. Like, men are usually the serial killers.
Right.
Women are maternal, nurturing, but Rose West was none of those things. She put on an air of being like that to lure people in again for her lover. And then they did this together. So, yeah.
Right. Okay. I want to switch from maternal to predator. And I want to talk briefly about the case, a more recent case of Pamela Smart.
Yes. Okay.
One that I think we all remember the story of Pamela Smart and Billy. I have to ask you, where were you, Kelly, when you first heard the story of Pamela Smart, her husband, Greg, and hearing about Pamela Smart wanting to romance a 15-year-old Billy Flynn and wanting to actually get together and run away together? What was the deal there?
Okay. So one of the first times I heard about this case, I don't know if so it happened in 1990. I don't know that I heard about it at that time. I was young. I didn't pay attention really to things like that. But there was a movie made about this case.
Yeah.
It was Nicole Kidman who played Pamela Smart, and Joaquin Phoenix, I believe, who played Billy.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay. That was one of the first times I heard about this case. It was a great movie, too. I think they did a really good job portraying those people. But yeah, that's when I first heard about this case. Yep. 15, come on. I don't know how any teacher, it's just so strange. I hear about these teachers in the news and I'm like, I cannot imagine being attracted to a teen boy in a position of power and then being attracted to one of my students. Like, that is bizarre. Like, what is going on in their mind to feel that way to begin with? But
that was kind of the OG case that opened the floodgates for everything that we see now.
Yeah. And then the other one, what's the other one? It was Billy Fulau was the name of the boy, and Mary K.
Letourneau. Yes. Mary Kay Letourneau.
I don't remember if that was before or after this one. I don't remember which one came first.
I think maybe Mary Kay Letourneau might have, was she first? Or was it? Was it Smart?
I think maybe Pamela Smart was first.
Yeah.
But they were close around the same time. So those were like the two big ones. Now I feel like you hear about this stuff on social media like way too frequently. But, Pamela Smart painted a picture of a terrible marriage, abuse and control and things like that. And she definitely manipulated 15-year-old Billy Flynn's mind, just manipulated him, even manipulated his friends into thinking, wow, this poor woman, she's going through so much. We've got to help her. And ended in murder. Mm-hmm. And I think most of the people around them would have painted a totally different picture of what was going on in that relationship. But so it ended in murder. And they made a pretty good movie about it too. So,
but the fact that you would take and say to a 15-year-old boy, okay, I want you to recruit two of your friends or get, she didn't say that, but she said, we're going to have to do away with them. And he said, okay, I got two buddies. And then he's going to get two of his buddies involved. And you're going to have three 15-year-olds get together and try to plot a murder. Three 15-year-olds can barely get together and put a game of baseball together in an afternoon, much less try to do away with a grown adult. Mm-hmm. But then they're going to try to put this together. They're going to try to get this guy out of the way. And then you're convinced that you and this grown woman are going to go away and live off the insurance money. I mean, this truly is a 15-year-old fantasy.
He was a child. He had the mind of a child. What a grown man is not done developing till he's like 25. He was 15. Like, he did not have the reasoning skills and stuff to understand what was going on. She definitely gave him a lot of evil input into how to do it, what to do, the life we could live afterwards, all of those things. So I can't remember.
But she was 26, wasn't she, at the time?
Yeah, she was a full-grown adult. So yeah, in her 20s. Yes. Yep.
So yeah, again, authorities would probably say to her, shouldn't you know better? I mean, shouldn't that be
definitely should. She definitely should have known better. And I can't remember off the top of my head, I can't remember the prison sentences that they both got, but I can't remember. Oh, I can't remember. Do you remember?
I think was his 20 years, 25 years?
Something like that. But I think she got life in prison. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure she did. And yeah, their trials were combined. I just can't remember. Oh, Billy got 28 years. He became eligible for parole. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yep. But still to this, like, she has always proclaimed, I didn't kill my husband. I didn't have anything to do with this plan. This was all them. But really, 15 years old, I'm pretty sure you had some input on this.
Yeah, it's not like the kid just decided, I'm going to plan this all on my own. You just sit back, darling, and take a break. I got this.
Exactly. I do think Billy, that's another case where I think Billy was madly in love with Pamela, but obviously didn't know what true love is. He was maybe more obsessed, wanted to be with her, obsessed with the idea of being with her, and thought that was the way to achieve it. And I think Pamela was probably a narcissist, really playing games with his head.
Speaking of creep and ick factor, do you remember the Mary Kay Letourneau interview?
Yes. I mean, there were a few. I don't remember, was it 2020 or Oprah?
Yeah,
I saw.
Those,
yeah. Yes. Now, I think Mary Kay was very childlike herself. She was an odd character.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about her background or why she was a happily married woman with children and a husband. They seemed happily married. They seemed happily married. And then she kind of groomed this kid, I feel like, from such a young age. I think he was like, was he like 12, something like that?
Yeah, it was like 12 or 14 young. Or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was creepy how brainwashed he was, because he really felt like he needed to step up and raise a family. Like that wasn't his. And he was barely older than the kids he was raising.
I know. I think they were friendly in school, perhaps like friends or in the same circles, something like that. And it was crazy to me how his family and caregivers, I don't think he was raised by his parents. I think it was his grandparents, but they supported the relationship. They were supportive of his relationship with Mary Kay, which I think they grew up, they were very poor. They had different circumstances, and they saw Mary Kay as a stable figure in his life who genuinely seemed to care about him and his well-being, but she was definitely grooming him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they probably saw it too. And unfortunately, it might have been a cultural thing too. They might have seen it as he was stepping up to be a man earlier than he should have been. Which was
he became a father at a young age. They had two babies together. She got pregnant, and then she was in prison pregnant. So gave birth, and then he and his guardians had to raise the baby. So just really crazy. But I think they're still together to this day. I'm pretty sure they're still together. I don't know if they got divorced, but just recently they were still together.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, I mean, what do you do when you're with somebody since you were a kid? I mean, I think that you're pretty much conditioned or ingrained to think that you're not going anywhere, right?
Yeah. Like, what else is there? Like, this is all I know.
I mean, if you've never been to your prom, if you've never dated anybody else, I mean, what else do you do? You know, I mean, don't you at that point? And I mean, again, this goes down that psychological path here, Kelly, where don't you develop a love for somebody that's more than just a romantic love at that point?
Yes. It's like an essential part of them. Like, he needs her to survive in life. She probably taught him all the life skills as an adult that he knows. They've been together since he was just a child. And it's like your family, a mentor, a lover, all these different things at the same time.
Now you're developing some of those classic Greek complexes, right? I mean, yeah. Now we're getting into some of the sicker complexes that we could, go on and on about.
Yeah, really though. Yes. Very confusing for someone so young, I'm sure.
Yeah. But and again, those two cases, out of those two cases, you've got this kind of sick tree that goes outward and that we're seeing, I mean, bear fruit, no pun intended, on what seems like is a weekly basis. I as I look for, the segment after this, Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals, I farm stories for this every week, and I must see 2 stories a week of a teacher taking advantage of a student.
Yeah. Female teachers taking advantage of students. It's becoming more prevalent. And I don't know if this was always a thing, but it's like a sexy topic to talk about in the media now. And so they're covering it more, or if this has always been going on, or if it's new. I don't know, but I am hearing a lot more cases like that. And I just shake my head. I'm like, that's a child. That's just a child. And boys mature so much slower and later than girls. So, I mean, like they're just so young. I don't understand any kind of sexualization of a young boy. And a lot of the time I hear, well, he was the aggressor in the situation. He, came on to me or whatever. I don't see it. That's so gross. It's just.
Well, I'll tell you something that might turn your stomach. At least in the school district I was in here in Minnesota, we heard more stories about male teachers that got with teenage girls than we did female teachers getting with guys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like what's a case? Tell me one of them. What's the worst? What happened? What's one of them?
Without incriminating, I can't tell you the school, but I can tell you there was an assistant basketball coach that got with at least 3 girls.
Whoa. Okay. I think so many people get into education for the wrong reasons, or they're the wrong people. Maybe like questionable morals and values should not be getting into this. That reminds me of something that happened. Okay. So at one of my children's schools, this was a long time ago, the guidance counselor was found guilty of doing some terrible things, abusing some students as well. And he would take on, like, if you were a new student or something like that, he would take you on and you meet with him weekly in his room and behind closed doors. And he was abusing a couple students at the school. That's one case. Yeah. I mean, luckily I've not run into this very often, but yeah, it's just terrible, terrible, terrible. Because again, like, we entrust people with our kids, and the kids are just so innocent and pure. And yeah,
well, that's the thing. Schools should be, what's the word I'm looking for here, Kelly? Again, I'm at a loss for words.
A safe place. I mean, they should be
more than just a safe place. They should be sacred, right? They should be
sacred. Yeah.
Right. They should be more than just a safe place. It should be that sacred spot where kids go to learn, where they know they can step onto that space, and everyone has their best interest, not just their best interest at heart, but those teachers, those educators, they should be an extension of a parent, right? They should be that person that's there to look out for them, not only educate them, but they should be adults that they can go to if they have a problem, that they can say, hey, you know what? I don't feel right about this. I don't feel right about that. I got to talk to somebody. You're here, and I know you can give me the best advice, right? There should never be anybody in that building that they look at and go, I don't feel right around you. That their instinct should ever go off and go, I can't be around you. There should be no stranger danger in a school. Right? No,
I agree. But sadly, there are these people in society who prey on these young victims, prey on the innocent. I mean, a lot of people, well, like, okay, I'm thinking of serial killers like BTK. He was a Boy Scout leader. He was in a position of power. Yeah. He worked in places where he had access to information, like he worked for an alarm system company. There are lots of people who they get in these positions because they know they're going to be close to potential victims. So it's really bad.
It's a victim factory for them.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah. Yep. It's a feeder line. They they get in and they know that, I'm going to have a constant stream of victims that'll be fed to me if I just sit in one place, and who's going to suspect? Right? If I just show a little bit of concern and care, no one's going to ever suspect.
Yeah. And they typically prey on ones who are from maybe like a lower socioeconomic status or something, or may have already suffered some sort of abuse so that they're less likely to report it. They're smart people. They know who to target. Yeah. It's,
That whole mindset is as much as it's disturbing, it can be fascinating, but again, disturbing. And I find that this particular book of Love Gone Wrong was incredibly fascinating because again, you're combining an emotion that should be incredibly pure with an act that's incredibly despicable, and then you try to reconcile the two. And it's hard to do, but
It is fascinating though, because like I said, I'm not wired that way, and I don't know anyone who is, but you see these red flags in other people. Right. I like to read about cases, and I love the psychology behind it because I feel like learning about things that have happened makes me a little more hyper aware, makes me like, oh, there's a red flag. Maybe don't talk to that person. It keeps me a little safer to learn about this stuff.
Well, and it's important that books like this are out there so that people can read cases like this and go, you know what, that guy who lives down the road is a lot like that. Maybe I should keep my eyes open. Right? Yeah,
we can be kind of naive walking through life, but this stuff happens. So
that's right.
It's good to know.
That's right. Well, the book is out now and available. We have a link in the description of this program. True Crime Sleep Stories, Volume 3, Love Gone Wrong. Kelli Brink, I want to thank you so much for being with us today on True Crime Tuesday.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed our time as well. Folks, we're going to lighten things up a little bit. It's time now for us to jump into Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time again, the time you've all been looking forward to. It's time for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals. I have a bit of a conundrum, but I think I've solved it. Here's the deal. So Jess has a bit of a track meet, I believe, with her daughter today, so she's out of the question. Mally has some sort of home improvement deal going on with her neighbor, Wilson. I think Wilson is building a fence to keep out immigrants or something like that. I don't know, but it's really loud over at her place. So here's what I've done. I've reached out to a fellow brother, a good brother at that. I've gone all the way to the state we normally talk about during this segment, which, of course, would be Florida. Yes, we're talking about Florida. And I've pulled up a good brother by the name of Rocky Stucci, who's not only intelligent, he's witty, he's funny, but he's just good and kind-hearted. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in from Stucci Media, Rocky Stucci. Rocky, how you doing, brother?
Brother, I appreciate it, and I will validate 100% that the crazy in Florida is 100%. There's people that they sit in hot tubs with alligators. I'm just saying. Not saying, but I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Really?
So, yeah, so down here, I thought this was kind of like a TikTok thing. I thought it was kind of like just do something for clicks.
Yeah.
There are people that go into these creeks, into the Everglades area, and literally everywhere around Florida, there's these alligators. And a lot of these people have pretty much, it's illegal, but they've hand raised a lot of these wild alligators. So they'll go in these creeks, and these alligators that are 6, 7, 8 feet, they swim right up to the people, and the people will pet them. I'm uncomfortable with all this because I don't even walk in the ocean up to my ankles, No. To think that people are swimming with dinosaurs makes me a little weird, Did I
ever tell you about the one time in Jamaica I decided I was young, I was dumb, I was stupid. I decided the ocean, I love the ocean. I've never been in the ocean, but I decided I was going to wander out into the ocean. I was going to see what I could see. I knew there were sharks in it. But I just decided, hey, but there were young Jamaican boys that were jumping up and down on a huge trampoline, and I was going to make a splash, literally, right? So, because at the time I was 365 pounds, I was going to make a splash. So I got out on that trampoline, and I was jumping out off this trampoline and into the ocean, and these young Jamaican boys are going, do it again, man! They thought it was really cool. And we were having a good time out there on this trampoline until I saw this fin.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. About probably, I'd say a good 100, 200 feet out from the trampoline. And this young boy looks at me and he goes, Man, we got to get in. And I was like, yeah, we do.
It's amazing, though, Tim, the amount of people that swim with sharks openly. And like the surfers, they know every day they go in that water, there's sharks that are swimming right underneath their feet. And they're okay with this. And I don't understand it. I mean, I think I'd rather be abducted by an alien than to be attacked by a shark,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of being serious, too.
No, I would, too. I'd rather take the anal probe than the bite any day.
Easy work. Give me an 18-inch finger all day, bro.
That's right. Well, you see surfers, they're like, no, everything's okay, and then they're waving at you with the nub. No. Rocky, I've fought off a shark foot and keeping my foot for over a decade, man, because I don't want to end up with a nub. I mean, There's a reason, I mean, I've heard horror stories from my surgeons about, if they take your foot, that's you've got 5 years left as a diabetic.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
People talk about it?
Yes, a surgeon, a well-known surgeon. And the reason for that, keep in mind, because as a big boy, you become sedentary. And then with the fact that, the prosthetics you get, you're not a billionaire, so you don't get the best fitting prosthetic. So you get sores, and those sores fester and they become infected. And then things happen with that. And you become sedentary, you gain weight, your blood sugars go up, you get other complications that happen, and they give you 5 years.
You know what, dude, you mentioned that, and I got a good buddy, his name is Mark Fucarell. He was actually one of the guys that was blowing up in the Boston bombings. That one of the kids that had the bombs, one of the terrorists that put the bomb next to the tree. Mark was right next to the tree, and him and the terrorist kid, they bumped shoulders. Oh my God. And the bomb went off, he lost his leg. And so one of his frustrations was exactly what you just said, is that most people don't have money. Most people don't have education when it comes to if you lose a limb, the processes that go along with this and the equipment that you need, the proper equipment that you need. Because he says that he didn't know anything and he didn't know anybody when he lost his leg, and he went and got a prosthetic that did exactly what you said. It tore him up. Yeah. It was terrible, but he didn't have no money. So he started this network called the Mark Foundation, MARC. And it's a network for people with disabilities that they can reach out to anybody and everybody. It's kind of like a Facebook, so you don't have to feel uncomfortable when you have questions. And then you can reach out to the people that are dealing with similar issues, and they can put you in the right path so you can avoid situations like what you're referring to, brother. This is a big deal. I love people like this.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, see, that I've learned something today. Just
it's a beautiful community. We were talking a little bit ago, folks, and we were talking about, the industry, the radio industry, and there's some amazing people that you meet through the years that have done incredible things, this rolling up their sleeves and just getting out there and doing the work. And it's people like that inspire people like Tim and I, man, that just get up every day and get it done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm glad you came on today, Rocky. That's inspiring. See, and there's another brother that deals with Lost Limbs Foundation and the paranormal, who does a lot of that same work, and I'm getting to meet more and more people who deal with disabilities and deal with lost limbs and things. So but I still deal with people every day who see me with the shark foot and see me struggling to I don't struggle so much anymore. By the way, I haven't told you since we've been talking that I'm just in a brace now, a brace and a tennis shoe, and I'm walking short distances with my foot. So I think the last time I saw you, I was in a cast and on crutches.
Yeah.
So but I've had people just come up to me and just unknowingly, not callously or anything, but unknowingly and kind of naively tell me, well, just lop it off and get a prosthetic, because I think it'd be easier. And they're looking out for you, but they don't realize how much pain and suffering there is with that too. It's not that simple. It's just not that simple. We don't have that kind of technology. So
it's easier to advise than to actually practice the advice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we say that respectfully, too, because you just said it. People are super sincere. They're really they feel obligated to try to say something, like when somebody passes away, right? Dude, I never know what to say to somebody, because there's not the right thing you can say to somebody when they lose somebody they love,
Right.
But we feel obligated, right? We're like, man, bro, if I don't say something, I'm an asshole, So I'm super sorry, man, and you don't even know what words to use. So I totally get it, brother.
Sometimes sorry is just the best. The other thing, too, is just if you truly do mean it, just say, you know what? I will keep you in my thoughts and prayers. I will keep you and your family in my thoughts and prayers, and I'll pray for strength for your family, because I know this is a tough time. So I love that out of you. That's the best. That's the best thing.
It is, brother. Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
But we're gonna talk about some not normal stuff, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going off the deep end today, Rocky. We're dumb crimes, stupid criminals is the subject, man. Yeah. I drug you into some deep water today.
Well, we already talked about 18-inch alien fingers, so I think we're on the right path.
Yeah, we're on a good. Yeah, we're on a good.
So
good
would you jump out of a 90-mile-an-hour moving train, or would you prefer to be anally probed?
Well, that's a tough one.
I know. This was from a real story, brother. This was from a real story of a train that was being overtaken by aliens. This is allegedly. And people were jumping out of the train because they thought aliens were taking over the train in Russia. The train was doing, I'm going to say it wasn't doing 90, it was doing about 60 miles an hour. People were jumping out of the train, and that brought up the conversation. If the train was being attacked by aliens and you had a choice to either be abducted and 18-inch finger probed, you know what I'm saying? Or jump out of a 60-mile-an-hour train into whatever you don't know, what would you do?
Well, this kid doesn't barrel roll, so I guess I'm stooping.
Well, that's 2 for 2. You're going up in space. You know, we got a pattern going on here, bro.
Someone's got to be the astronaut. Someone's got to make peace with these guys, right?
You said the astronaut.
Yeah, astronaut and make peace, right?
I suppose you can negotiate during the process.
Right. I'm a communicator. So someone's got to take one for the team, Rocky.
I'm jumping, bro. I'm jumping.
Are you jumping? Yeah.
I think so.
I've never.
What would the listeners do? I want the listeners to comment wherever you're listening. Yeah. Comment in the comment. What would you do? Would you jump, or would you be abducted? I want to know.
I want to know too. To be honest with you,
because there's not a good answer.
There's not,
unless of course, but you know.
Well, unless you get a masochist out there that'll do both.
That's multitasking, bro.
That is. That's of the worst kind.
I'm sorry, I kind of threw that one off the rails there, didn't I?
No, it's all right. No, it's a good poll, so to speak. Poll, huh? Poll.
It took a second. I got it.
Yeah. Let's start out with our first story here today, Rocky. If you're ready for this, boy, have I got a conundrum for you. This woman, actually, this first story comes to us from a listener. And again, if you have a story for us for Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals, you can send it in, tim@darknessradio.com. I'll be glad to get it here on the air. This starts out with a woman who hired a hitman found on Tinder to kill her ex-boyfriend, who's a cop, and his daughter. I know it's a little involved. We'll take this apart. We'll dissect it and bring it all back together for you so it makes a little more sense. Here's what I'm going to do. I don't have the high-tech stuff to show you over the screen, so I'm just going to hold up my iPad and show you the picture of this lovely lady right here, who's a little misguided today, Rocky.
She needs a hug.
She needs a hug. She needs a little bit more than that. She needed $12,000 to get this thing going.
All right. So repeat this again. I got to go because when you said the chain, okay, so yep. She met a guy. I didn't know hitmen went on Tinder, but anyways, okay.
Hitmen get lonely too.
Tinder to pull an assassination on who?
Her police officer ex-boyfriend and his teenage daughter. She got a twofer for $12,000.
Oh, well, that explains it. So it's typically twofer for
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So what happened?
Well, a New Jersey woman is accused of hiring that hitman, again, that she found on Tinder, to kill her police officer ex-boyfriend and his teenage daughter, not hers, but his teenage daughter, for $12,000. I don't know what the teenage daughter ever did to her, but let's say there's probably bad blood there.
We got a picture of the hitman?
That's a good question. Let me see. No, there's not.
Kind of hitman shows up on Tinder, because is this the thing now? Is this where like the undercover, like if you need a hitman, hey, you need to take somebody out. Okay, well, what you need to do is go to Tinder and put in a special tag word, and you're going to find a date that's going to cost you $14,000. Well, take the date because that's going to be the hookup.
Doesn't that sound like a movie of the week, The Hot Hitman?
The Hot Hitman, bro. Starring Tim Dennis.
Well, no, not I don't think I'm the Hot Hitman. You could probably try out for it, not me. I'm not the Hot Hitman. You
could do a mafia movie, bro, where you could be the Godfather. And, you got to put some cotton swabs in your mouth, and you got to talk like him and everything. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
and I'll be your hitman. I'll be Rocky the Meatball.
Rocky, I've been checking our Tinder account, and it looks like we've got a bit of a request. A twofer for $12,000.
I'll take care of it.
Here's the thing, though.
What would possess somebody to want to knock off the ex-boyfriend policeman plus the daughter?
Well, let's find out. We're going to talk about 26-year-old Jacqueline I believe it is Jacqueline. That's her first name. Diorio of Runnymede, New Jersey, who was charged with 2 counts of first-degree attempted murder, 1 count of first-degree conspiracy to commit murder, and 1 count of third-degree possession of a controlled dangerous substance. The Camden County Prosecutor's Office of New Jersey announced in a post shared on its Facebook account on Wednesday. Of course, Diorio was arrested after communicating with a confidential informant. I guess he would be the hitman who was on Tinder. See how they did that?
Oh.
Yeah, they set her up.
The cops are sending guys on Tinder now for undercover work.
Yeah. They reeled her in. They set the hook. They reeled her in. They got her.
I wonder if they really do that, though. If that's how they kind of prey on people. Like, why would an undercover cop, unless they knew that was her motive and knew she was on Tinder and why would an undercover cop be on Tinder?
Well, they do stings all the time. I mean, recently there was a politician here in Minnesota who got caught in Bloomington for trolling underage girls. And they caught him by soliciting him on the internet as an underage girl.
Do you think the internet set us forward or backwards?
Oh, backwards. Backwards. Yeah. Woo. I mean, it's a wonderful tool, but it's a tool that's abused.
The beautiful thing about internet is I can keep up with friends like you, Tim.
Yeah. And the horrible thing about the internet, Rocky, is that it gets abused.
It's terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
All right. So there's no conclusion on this, though, right? So no comment from the police officer?
Oh, well, there's more to the story. The 26-year-old offered the man that she believed to be the hitman $12,000 to kill her 53-year-old ex-boyfriend. That's right. There's a small age gap there between the two. By the way, if you're 53 and you're getting it on with a 26-year-old, I want to shake your hand. You've got more energy than I'll ever have. So, yeah. So the 26-year-old offered the so-called hitman $12,000 to off the 53-year-old ex-boyfriend, who is identified as an officer with the Philadelphia Police Department. So he's a little tough. Mm-hmm. There's no such thing as a not tough Philly police officer. All right.
100%. Yep. And
his 19-year-old daughter, after meeting the informant on Tinder, that according to a Camden County criminal complaint or affidavit. Diorio and the man exchanged messages and agreed to meet at a Wawa gas station in Runnymede on March 31st. By the way, Wawa, excellent sandwiches. I love the sandwiches at Wawa.
You're not lying.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
We got a lot of Wawas around my house.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you, when I go to Florida, it's one of the first places I go, Wawa and a Publix.
You got Wawa here, Publix, and then in Texas you have Buc-ee's.
Oh, Buc-ee's. Yeah, you got to love the Buc-ee's. The two exchanged several phone calls and text messages between March 31st and April 3rd. That's right. It only took her 4 days to want to line this up there, Rocky. At which point she expressed wanting to have her ex-boyfriend killed and acknowledging that he's a police officer. The gig's up there. The informant reported the murder for hire plot to the county prosecutor, who had detectives contact Philadelphia police to notify the department and the target of the alleged plot on April 3rd. Diorio reportedly met with the informant at a Dollar General store on April 4th. She loves her retail. What's that?
I mean, where else would you meet? Like, if I was to call the Gambinos and I said, listen, we got a meeting. I mean, I'm either thinking Olive Garden or Dollar General. You know what I'm saying?
Olive Garden, because when you're there, your family.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Olive Garden. The Gambinos would have you shot if you said, "Oh, I want to meet at the Olive Garden."
Oh my God, bro, I'm dying. Oh God.
We could meet anywhere. You want to meet at the Olive Garden?
Yeah, or the Dollar General.
The Dollar General. Sounds good to me. At which point, she allegedly gave him $500 in cash as a down payment and promised to pay the rest in installments. That's right. It's the budget hitman. Just put $500 down, and if I could, I'd like to do $250 a month until, I don't know, the end of time, if you would. That'd be great.
So, dude, honestly, okay, let's just pretend for a second that you were going to go pull something off like this, right?
Yeah.
And you were going to go pay. And no, you had a hitman. No, so just so, okay. Okay, I'm trying to be radio correct here. A hitman is going to cost about $20,000, and a real hitman doesn't ask for a $500 deposit, right?
No.
So when a real hitman asks for a $500 deposit and then works out a payment plan with you,
Yeah.
there's probably a little room in there for some suspicion, for maybe to think that maybe that there might be something a little shady going on here, and maybe he might be a cop.
And the fact that he'll meet you at a Dollar General, I'd run like the wind there.
Yeah, I'll meet you at Dollar General and I'll take $250 a month until it's paid off at 16.5% interest.
Yes, the exact interest. I'll give you 10 points on that.
Oh my God, come on, dude. She almost deserves to get caught. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it was dumb. Officers from the, I believe this is Gloucester Township Police Department Special Response Team then warned Dioro, and she was arrested at the scene. Police found an unlabeled bottle of pills suspected to be alprazolam with Dioro at the time of the arrest. That explains a lot. If she's popping the old downers at the same time she's, saying, I only have $500, but hey, I got pills on me.
Good stuff. So I got some benzos.
Yeah, it's a party. Dioro is currently being held at the Camden County Correctional Facility and is scheduled for a detention hearing at Camden County Superior Court coming up, believe it or not, tomorrow.
I almost feel like I got to keep following this story.
Yeah.
So was there any reasoning, brother? Was anything? I mean, because they weren't married.
No,
they were just boyfriend and girlfriend.
He was an ex.
He was an ex.
He was out of her life.
Plus, he wanted the daughter knocked off. She wanted the daughter knocked off.
Yeah.
But there's no life insurance policy. There was no marital kind of relationship or bondage legally.
No.
So was she just that angry that they broke up that she just wanted them both gone?
I guess.
Dude, man.
Or maybe she tried to get him back and he said no.
That happens, dude. I mean, people can't handle. I know some people that can't handle breakups, man. If you know that certain people are going to go through a breakup, just go to Alaska for a month. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's the safest thing to do.
Yeah, chill out, touch grass, see nature, let the cold wind hit your face.
Breakups are tough, but not hire a murderer tough.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's tougher to hire the murderer. That's tougher. Especially
that's tougher. So now she's going to end up spending, bro.
Yeah.
Going to go away.
Right.
She's going to get 20 years.
Well, if you thought that story was tough, you ready for this one?
Oh my God, it gets worse.
It gets worse. I pulled a really good batch for you today, Rocky. This is on a scale of 1 to chef's kiss. This is, I'm
already kind of sweaty. You know what I'm saying?
Well, get used to it, my friend. You might have to grab a towel because here we go. Georgia police arrested this guy for a $20,000 shoplifting spree. And if you're ready for the name here, Rocky, you're not going to believe it. A man was arrested for allegedly shoplifting at multiple Walmarts with a pretty clever self-checkout scheme. And as wild as that story is, what's really wild is the man's given name. Gainesville police arrested 40-year-old, wait for it, Speedy Gonzalez.
Dude, no way, bro.
Yes,
no way.
Yes. This is 40-year-old Speedy Gonzalez. Some woman looked this poor kid in the eye, this poor little baby, and said, I'm going to name you Speedy Gonzalez.
Why would somebody really name, dude? That's like a birth name for real?
Yes, that's his real name on his birth certificate.
I don't even know how I would digest it. Like if I was interviewing Speedy Gonzalez for a job. I mean, you'd never forget his name, but it's Speedy Gonzalez. There's only one.
There's only one.
There's only one.
I honest to God, I wouldn't be able to. Would you just look at him and go, Riba, Riba, andale, andale? What would you say to him?
It makes sense, though, that he was at Walmart. It does. It makes sense that he would be at Walmart because, I mean, it makes the story make sense. Because if you would say that Speedy Gonzalez was arrested at Target, none of this would feel normal.
No,
right?
It wouldn't. No.
The fact that Speedy Gonzalez got arrested at Walmart, I'm feeling really comfortable with this all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's in the pocket, right? Yeah. So 40-year-old Speedy Gonzalez, and yes, that's his real name, was identified on surveillance footage at a Walmart on Shallowford Road in March. Gonzalez is accused of carrying out a series of thefts at the store in Hall, Barrow, Gwinnett, Habersham, White, and Lumpkin counties. That's right. He was fast enough to get to all those different counties and commit all those thefts.
Well, he is Speedy Gonzalez, bro.
That's right.
What I'm saying? I was just in Gainesville.
Yep.
Damn it. And I wasn't at Walmart, so I didn't see Speedy.
You could have met him.
Dude, Georgia is super haunted. Just saying.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And then I did what's the state right next to Georgia? I know I'm going off the track here.
Alabama?
Alabama. Dude, I did a drive through Alabama and went through, there's entire towns, little tiny towns, completely abandoned, and buildings are still there. We should do a ghost hunting trip, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, we have to grab our friend Joshua Darren, who has he has a coffee shop down there. That excellent coffee, by the way.
Absolutely, brother. I'm sorry about Speedy Gonzalez. So did Walmart prosecute Speedy?
Well, here's the deal. The real Speedy Gonzalez would be a lot quicker. This Speedy had no such luck. Investigators say Gonzalez used a simple but effective method to conceal his thefts. He allegedly stuffed high-priced smaller items, such as nicotine products, diabetic test strips, and gum, into larger containers like trash cans or mailboxes. And at checkout, he would pay only for the large item and leave the store with the concealed merchandise. So he's a pack rat.
It kind of works, dude. He can get away with it in some stores.
Yeah. It's not hard to understand how this man could turn to a life of crime. Poor Speedy. He had to come from a rough family. No loving parents would saddle their child with such a silly name. It says in this article. I didn't say that. The article says that.
But dude, doesn't he get residuals?
Well, you would think that Warner Brothers would sue him. Wouldn't you?
You would think. There could be some legalities to this name.
If I were Warner Brothers, I'd sue.
All right, dude. So I was in Walmart one night. I swear to God, I can bring Lisa on here right now, and she could attest. If aliens ever are real humans or in human form, I seen them just one night when I was in Walmart at 11 o'clock at night. Dude, we walked by 3 women.
Really?
And dude, I swear to God. And I did a live stream after that, and I was trying to not be funny about it because it can come off as comical, right? Because it's us. We always turn serious shit into comedy.
Sure.
But, dude, I looked at these women, dude, and they were not normal, man. And, whether I'm empathic or whatever it is, this was not a human thing to me. And it freaked me. Have you ever looked at somebody and literally got freaked out?
Yes. Yeah.
This was one of the very few times that ever happened to me where I literally got chills from looking at people. And I swear, dude, they weren't from this planet, dude.
Well, was it one of those things where they appeared normal at first and then like the face changed or something like that?
So they looked, so they remain human, right? So there's none of the face changing, none of their eyes changed, but it was just their entire appearance. They looked like they were, I almost said the F word, vampires.
Okay.
Right? They were completely pale, super sunken eyes. Even their mechanical characteristics were off. And it wasn't a disability. And dude, it didn't look like they were drug addicts. They didn't look like they were high. They didn't look like, how the meth head or crack, they represent physically different. I don't know, dude.
They just look like they were uncomfortable in their own bodies?
And Lisa saw, that is a great way to put it. And then Lisa saw them separately than I did. And she came up to me, freaked out, and she goes, "Did you see?" And I was already freaking out,
Yeah.
I know people joke about this stuff, but I have a belief, man, and especially after what we've witnessed the last year with all those things flying around, I have a feeling that all these things that we've been talking about that have been just theories, I think there's a lot of legitimacy to what we've been talking about all these years, bro.
Interesting. Okay.
I do. I really do. I think we should do a show sometime just talking about alien theory.
Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely. We'll have you back. We'll talk about it.
I'd love to, bro.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, back to
our
aliens from Walmart.
We'll get to our next story. Our next story is a little less Walmart-y and a little bit more exactly who do you call for help when the police have subdued you?
Oh.
There's a conundrum for you.
Yeah, I don't know. You're kind of SOL after that point, don't you?
You would think, but one woman thought she had the solution. You ready for this, Rocky?
Listening.
A woman called AAA during a standoff to fix the police. What the police had done, they had just spiked her tires with a spike strip. So she figured she could call AAA and get them to fix her flat.
Well, no, technically, that would kind of qualify, though, wouldn't it? Hello, thank you for calling AAA. This is the Emotional Meatball. How may I help you today? Yeah, I just got car spiked by cops and they flattened all my tires, and I want to use my policy to have all my tires changed.
And then of course the Emotional Meatball says, no thanks. your policy doesn't cover that.
So was it while she was being detained, or was it afterwards?
Well, let's get to that. A 45-year-old woman was arrested this past Wednesday and accused of leading police on a high-speed chase on I-70 and then calling for roadside assistance after officers spiked her tire. Anna Mae Cabalsa Martinez was booked into the Emery County Jail for investigation of reckless driving and failing to stop for police. The odd series of events began at about 5:20 p.m. when Martinez was spotted by a Utah Highway Patrol officer on I-70 going 120 miles per hour. So, right in the pocket of where she should be as far as the speed limit goes.
Dang, dude.
Yeah, a little fast.
Dude, I do 90 and I start getting nervous.
Well, my whole van starts to shake at about 95, so I don't even hit those speeds. The trooper wrote in his affidavit, I reached a speed of 130 miles per hour in an attempt to catch the vehicle. So she even got over 120 there, Rocky. Yeah. By the time I'm sorry, what?
And they spike stripped her doing that.
Yeah, imagine that. By the time the trooper caught up with the vehicle, Martinez was going 95 miles per hour. She must have saw the cop car and slowed down. But as soon as the trooper got behind her with his flashing lights and sirens, she accelerated between 120 and 130. So she decided to rab it. Troopers attempted twice to spike the woman's tires. They were successful on the second try near Sigurd, which is nearly 100 miles away from where Martinez was first spotted.
Holy shit, dude.
She took off.
You went 100 miles?
Yeah. Essentially, she went, whoa, cops, and went, pew, and took off for 100 miles.
Holy crap.
Mm-hmm. The vehicle's left front tire lost air, and the vehicle pulled to the right side of the road and came to a stop. Traffic was shut down, and a high-risk stop was performed with multiple troopers, a.k.a. guns were drawn, is my guess. The driver and sole occupant of the vehicle failed to obey any commands to exit the vehicle or roll down the window. Oh, that's bad form.
Oh, no. So they dragged her out by her hair, or he, or whoever.
Yeah. The officer said, I tried multiple times to get Martinez to roll down a window or exit the vehicle while yelling as loud as I could. A PA speaker was also used to try and get Martinez to obey our commands, which she refused. Here's the patience used here, Rocky. About 40 minutes into the ensuing standoff, police say Martinez called AAA to get her tire fixed. They waited for 40 minutes outside the vehicle. 40 minutes. Now, if
this is why I can't be a cop, bro. This is exactly why, because I wouldn't wait 40 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
If that were Minneapolis police, they would have been in there in 2 minutes and they would have ripped her out by the hair.
She wouldn't have any hair left.
No. The roadside assistance company transferred the call to the police, who in turn transferred the call to a trooper at the scene. So she essentially said, will you come fix my tire? They said, hold please. And then they transferred it right back up to the cops.
Dude, this might be the first time in history that somebody was in a high-speed chase and a 40-minute standoff and calls freaking AAA to come and have the tires changed that the cops just spike popped on her. What's the logic? And in her mind, somehow this all made sense. In her mind, somehow she had a plan, bro. She had destinations.
Did she think like the cops were just going to sit there? I mean, they've already sat there for 40 minutes, but did she think they were going to sit there while the tow came out and changed all four tires?
Oh yeah, everybody hold off. Triple H is here. They're going to replace her tires, and then we will commence the high-speed chase as soon as they are done.
And if you give me a 5-minute head start, we can do this in a different state.
It's scary because this makes sense to people. You know, that's the part that scares me, is that she had logic behind this somehow.
The trooper finally did write, I was able to talk Martinez into exiting the vehicle. Martinez was placed under arrest and transported to the Emery County Jail, where there was no running, by the way, once you get there.
Was there a description of what kind of vehicle she had? Had to be something with a little bit of muscle there, bro. I mean, to get up to $120, $130. I mean, your Ford Taurus ain't gonna do that. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's no Chevy Cobalt. That's for sure. No, it doesn't say what she was driving.
Had to be something with a little bit of muscle.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, they had to have a little nitrous in it, I'm thinking.
Yeah, you could go to like Dallas, and there's every other car is a Charger in Dallas.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm thinking, it had a little bit of oomph.
Car.
Yeah,
that's a fast car. I don't think I've ever gone 130 miles an hour in a vehicle.
I've gone 125 before.
That's fast.
77 Grand Prix. Yep. Not saying where I drove it at that speed, but yeah.
Were you scared?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually I got air, and a lot of air. I hit there was a small hill on the road I was on, and I, like the Dukes of Hazzard, and I came down, and I thought I broke my shocks when I came down. I mean, I came down hard.
Bro.
I didn't mean to get air on it, but I probably got up about 4 feet off the ground.
Oh, you pooped a little.
I did. Oh yeah.
Absolutely. That's worth it.
There were a lot of prayers and swears coming out of my mouth at that
the
point.
same time, bro.
Yes.
It was like demonic possession. 2 tones at the same time.
Yes.
The anger tone and the praying tone.
Yes. And they all made a beautiful noise at the same time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Our next story, Rocky, has to do with a Florida woman who, yes, we're going to Florida, who was arrested for selling a certain something on Facebook Marketplace. Now, we were talking about abusing the internet before and how it can be a wonderful thing and how it can be a not so wonderful thing. This Florida woman used it for a not so good thing. Want to take a guess as to what she was selling on Facebook Marketplace?
Air?
I wish. No, it was something solid.
Her poop.
Oh, if it were only that.
Oh, God, dude, don't. What is it?
This Florida woman, and I'll show you her picture.
It wasn't poop.
No, it wasn't poop. I'll take a guess by looking at her picture. What would this lovely woman be selling on Facebook Marketplace?
Oh, God, I don't know, dude.
I should be a game show host. I'll give you 3 more seconds. What would this lovely woman be selling on Facebook Marketplace?
Weed.
That's a good guess, but not quite. Maybe if you ground up what she was selling on Facebook Marketplace, you could make an odd kind of weed. She was selling human remains on Facebook Marketplace, Rocky. Human remains is our correct answer for today's quiz.
Wait.
Yeah.
How?
Well, we'll tell you. The owner of a Florida curio shop has been arrested for selling human remains. By the way, this comes from one of our listeners as well. Thank you for the story. For selling human remains on Facebook Marketplace, according to the Orange City Police Department. 52-year-old, and we kid you not, this is her name, Kimberly Shopper and Ashley Lalazy were arrested and charged with the purchase and sale of human organs and tissue, according to court records. Captain Sharif El Shami told ABC News, "This is something I haven't seen in the 17 years that I've worked for this agency." Orange City is located about a half hour north of Orlando. Police began looking into Shopper's store called Shopper's Wonderful Body Parts. No, I'm kidding. It's called Wicked Wonderland. Back in December of 2023, when they received a tip regarding a business within the city attempting to sell human bones.
Oh, God, dude.
There's a big market for it.
There is, but there's if you're into witchcraft.
Well, that, and actually you can sell human cadavers to medical schools and make big time money.
Well, cadavers. And if you're selling a human cadaver, you probably have some kind of credentials on why you have that cadaver. and probably have release forms from the person that died that said that you can have my body when I die.
If you do it above board, but there's a lot of different news stories out there of other schools that are doing it not so above board, that are doing it without that.
How was she was selling the bones like individual pieces and necklaces, or like bones, like here's a thigh bone?
Well, here's the rest of the story. The tip included images from the store's Facebook page, which advertised various human bones for sale, complete with pricing information. The affidavit said Shopper's store was allegedly selling 2 human skull fragments for $90, a human clavicle and a scapula for $90, a human rib for $35, a human vertebrae for $35, and a partial human skull for $600.
All right, let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
Would you buy a skull?
No. Nope. It's desecration. I'd never do it. There's just too much. I don't know who it belongs to.
I wonder how many of your listeners would buy a human skull if you knew that there was no like icky play to it. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't stolen. It was something that was donated. It was something that says you can use my body for whatever research you want to use it for.
I still wouldn't.
And neither would I, bro. No, neither would I. I mean, you hear the stories that people have just bringing the cremated parts of a loved one back home.
Yeah.
Could you imagine bringing a foreign skull into your house?
Yeah. I just, here would be my concern is that the spirit that travels with that body or would be looking after that body just to see what was done with it would know that it was in your house and be like, dude, what the, and decide to hang around.
I believe that, dude. I believe that. I think sometimes people are so miserable when they die of how their body's going to be treated that they stay with it, maybe, But I believe that if somebody if somebody took my skull and wanted to use it for something I didn't agree with, dude, I'd be pissed. You know what I mean? I would want my skull brought back to where my rest of my body's at.
I just think there's karmic justice behind it.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the question to the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Could you own a skull? Human skull? Yes or no? Put it in the comments, but because this is the second question. So now you got to reference the question. So human skull, yes or no? That's it.
Yeah. I'd like to know that too.
And Tim will give you the answer to this next week.
Yeah, I will. I'll give people the answer next week as to whether
have a meeting about that. So I know I'll get a call from HR now.
No, you won't get a call from any. No, and HR is Jess. She won't call you.
So what kind of consequences does something like this have?
Well, police spoke to Lacey, who is the co-owner of Wicked Wonderland, who said the store has been selling human bones for several years and was unaware that it was prohibited in the state of Florida. The old, I had no idea. I didn't know. She confirmed to authorities that the store featured multiple bone fragments, all purchased from private sellers. The affidavit said Lacey said she had documentation for these transactions, but could not provide it at that moment. Whoops, we forgot the paperwork. That was the other excuse. Shopper and Lacey met later with police, where Shopper showed documentation from PayPal, but she had redacted certain information to protect their privacy. According to the affidavit, Shopper told police the bones were indeed educational models and that a warrant would be required if further information was needed. In other words, see our lawyer. Police submitted 5 pieces of human bones from Wicked Wonderland as evidence with the Volusia County Medical Examiner's Office, finding that the fragments likely represent 2 different individuals, one of possible archaeological origin and the other of anatomical origin. According to the affidavit, Shopper was taken into custody on Thursday and was released on bail of $7,500 on Friday. It's not immediately clear if Shopper has obtained a lawyer. Lacey has also been charged with the same crime. El Shami told ABC News it is not clear whether Lacey is in public custody or police custody or has obtained a lawyer. In a post on the store's Facebook page, the pair wrote of the store closing on Saturday. Wicked Wonderland is currently temporarily closed due to dedicating our time to the care of a beloved family member in their final moments. How ironic. Absolutely nothing more. While there may be a whirlwind of misguiding information and horrendous assumptions and opinions, we're choosing to focus on what we always have: life, love, death, and family.
So they have a family member getting ready to go, so they're probably going to be having like a big sale coming up with some new supplies, right? So here, this is actually kind of dangerous, right? So if we actually created a market for human bones, let's just say we created something that it became a popular thing. Let's say you said, "Oh my God, human bones help heal cancer if you ground them up and made a juice," you know? So we were in New Orleans. And I was able to, he was a groundskeeper. He opened one of the cemeteries for me and Lisa, it just for us. And I was able to walk through these above ground cemeteries. And bro, there's some of those that are so old and beat up and so rugged that you can see some of the bones. And you know what do they call them, mausoleums or whatever, the big ones?
Yep.
So did you know that in one hole, because sometimes you see them, they're stacked, and you're like, wow, I mean, sometimes in one hole, there's 7, 8, 9, 10 people.
Yes. Yeah.
And I never knew that what they do is that they drain the body as much as they can to get it to decompose as quick as possible. And then they'll put the body in there. And then when the next family member dies, what they do is they crush it. They crush the body and push it all the way back and crush it into a whole bunch of small pieces. Yeah. And then in the back there is a big pile of bones. And that is however many family members are in that. It's all their bones piled up. I never knew that, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. I learned that probably about 20 years ago, and I tried to forget it, but now you just reminded me about it again.
It troubled me when the guy told, I'm like, well, how do you put all the family in there? He goes, well, this is, and then he told me the process. I'm like, okay, I can't, even though they're gone, right? And some people are like, well, it's just a body, the spirit's gone. It's just like, well, that was my mom. Right? I don't want to hear my mom's bones getting crushed up into a pile inside that thing. You know what I'm saying? But now if there was a market for it, these freaking cemeteries, bro, would be getting broken into every freaking day just for people to steal bones.
That's why they have measures against grave robbing now. And that's why it's a crime.
Looking at, though, for crime. So she's looking at the illegal selling of human body parts. What kind of time could she be getting?
Well, it says here that her arraignment's scheduled for May 1st. And if there is grave robbing charges, if there's that has to be determined at that time. She's out on bail for $7,500 as of right now. The charge, I thought I read it earlier in the story, but let me see here.
There could be some complications to that, trying to prove that there was grave robbing, because, I mean, they really don't have any proof of her robbing anything. They just have proof of the physical objects.
Well, she would be charged with possession of stolen property. That would be one. And then they
do DNA on bones. Can they do a DNA test?
Yes, they can.
So they're like murder suspects and shit.
Yep. If that's the suspect of, or if that's a victim of a murder, if that's a victim of a serial killer, then they trace that back, and you're in possession of something pretty dangerous right there.
Bro, do you think about this? This could be a breaking story of like a major serial killer case.
It could. You never know. That's why stuff like that, buying stuff like that on the internet, you want to stay away from it.
Yeah. I don't want anything human in my house.
No.
Except living.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you choose to keep a relative in an urn, I get that, but you know where that comes from.
How are you about that, though? I mean, do you believe that bringing that urn home could produce haunting?
No.
Okay.
No, I truly do believe if a relative wants to be at rest, they'll be at rest. It doesn't matter if you have their
urn or the ashes or not. I got you. Yeah.
No, if they want to be at rest, they'll be at rest.
I ain't gonna lie. I do kind of want to haunt some people.
Well, then by all means, have at it.
You have a list?
Do I have a list? Only if they're cheerleaders or strippers. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah, I was kidding too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm totally kidding. Yeah, no, I don't have a list. Not as far as they know.
Oh my God, bro, that's funny.
Yeah. Oh. Our next story is another unusual story. I know. Imagine this, Rocky. I've pulled unusual stories for you today. Here's the headline, and try to sort it out if you will. Cutthroat cowboys busted after wild viral video captures them riding emotional support horses through Walmart. Again, another Walmart story for you. You thought the aliens you saw in Walmart were weird. Let me get to this story and then we'll sort it out as we get through it. 4 men who dubbed themselves the Cutthroat Cowboys were saddled with charges after a viral video captured the young troublemakers riding their emotional support horses, see me doing air quotes, through a Louisiana Walmart. Police were on the hunt for the hooligans after wild footage showed the group on horseback trotting past the cashiers and down the aisles of the big box store in Baker Tuesday night as stunned shoppers and employees watched on, according to the nearly 40-second video shared by WBRZ2. And if I can ever get this ad out of my way, I could show you the picture of exactly what these guys look like. They look exactly like you would think they would look like if you can see just the remnants.
I got a pretty good visual in my head.
Yeah, that's a little bit of them.
What do they go by?
The Cutthroat Cowboys. Yeah, riding down. Oh, hell no, a woman who was seemingly recording the bizarre stunt reportedly said. And what the F was the other quote to this story. What appeared to be a Walmart employee laughed and then suggested the police be notified, adding the four horsemen were going to scare the shit out of somebody. That's probably accurate. Other footage shared on TikTok appeared to be taken from atop the large animal as the scoundrels galloped in the store with the Big and Rich song Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy playing over the video.
Dude.
I think Rocky has found it. I think he's watching it right now.
I did find it.
Two of the riders, 18-year-old Mason Webb and a juvenile offender, turned themselves into police after warrants were issued for their arrest. 24-year-old Brendan Bridgewater and 22-year-old Patrick Darazan surrendered to authorities Friday morning, according to the Baker Police Department. Multiple local outlets reported. Here's a fine picture of both their asses right here, riding down the aisle at Walmart.
Dude, that's crazy.
Isn't it?
Yeah, they're trying to say that. If they would have went over to one state over in Texas, that Walmart, Texas would have allowed. No, they wouldn't have.
No one.
They're not going to allow. Is there such thing as an emotional support horse? Is that real?
No, it's not. No. There's no state in the union that'll allow you to ride a horse in a Walmart.
Imagine if one horse takes a deuce, bro. I mean, that's like 45 pounds.
Yeah, and it's a health hazard when it happens indoors. So
Big time.
Yeah. After his arrest, Webb told WBRZ2 that his Cutthroat Cowboy squad had no real reason for entering the chain store on horseback, other than it being something fun to do. It was fun. We were famous. That's all, the wily lawbreaker said. We didn't want to hurt nobody. We always ride to Baker, and we just wanted to do it that day. That's my emotional support animal, he went on to say. The four Frontiers were each charged with entering and remaining after forbidden, unlawful posts of criminal activity and disturbing the peace. So, something fun to do, Rocky.
Well, they did say that the horses did appear to be properly fed. So that is, I honestly, brother, I mean, there could be a lot worse things that could happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is intimidating. Horses intimidate me. I'm not around them a lot, so when I'm around a horse, you kind of forget the enormity of these things, right?
Well, even when properly trained, they can be scared and they can rampage through a small space like that, and people can get hurt. So there's no guarantee that people would be safe around them in that confined space.
You could never be safe around it. How much do they weigh? Like 1,000 pounds?
Couple 1,000 pounds, yeah.
Just this thing taking a nap on you on accident, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you could be trampled by a horse very easily in a confined space like that.
I don't want to be trampled by an elephant either. I just seen a video of a guy getting trampled by an elephant, and it did not look enjoyable.
No,
there was not one part of that video that looked like, it would be kind of fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. By the way, we're not done with dumb names today, if I didn't tell you this.
Well, we're at Speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah, we had Speedy Gonzalez. But are you ready? Now you've heard of Cocaine Bear, right?
Of course.
Okay. Did you see the movie Cocaine Bear?
I did.
What'd you think of it?
I got to poop just thinking about it.
Okay. Well, if you fell in love with Cocaine Bear, get ready, Rocky, to fall in love with Eddie Cocaine.
Oh, no. Oh, he looks like an Eddie Cocaine.
Doesn't he? He looks like Eddie Cocaine. Edward Cocaine faces charges of aggravated assault, burglary with assault, or battery and battery. I don't know what battery and battery is, but it's really bad if it's battery and battery. Yeah.
Dude, that's his real name.
That's his real name. Cocaine became so irate is the quote, man attacked Brevard County subway employees. That's right. He went after the people who make your fresh sandwiches. A 45-year-old man was arrested after he pushed workers at a Brevard County subway restaurant before pulling out a knife. Evidently, he was really hungry after doing a few lines, a few bumps.
What? Wait, so he was also cocaine?
No. I'm just saying. I added that part.
I mean, my God. This
Can you
like
can you snort? Can you snort yourself? I mean, is that the deal?
Dude, that would be kind of cool to have a name of cocaine.
Yeah, right.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Rocky Cocaine.
Rocky Cocaine. Hey, you'd be Cocaine Rock.
Bro, I got chills. That just gave me chills, bro.
Didn't it? See, look at right there. Right there. Deputies said that on April 5th, a man later identified as Edward Cocaine, we call him Cocaine Eddie, went into the restaurant located at 390 St. Charles Avenue in Merritt Island with another man. Cocaine got into an argument with employees. It always does. I mean, cocaine never has a nice talk with you. It always gets into an argument with you when it gets into your system over what he believed were their bad attitudes. You know, cocaine has a bad attitude, Rocky. Cocaine has a bad attitude.
Look at his mugshot, though. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Does he? He looks like the human embodiment of cocaine, doesn't he?
He looks like an apple. He kind of does.
He does. According to the sheriff's office, Cocaine became so irate with the employees that yelling at them from across the counter wasn't enough. Deputies said Cocaine then went behind the counter and pushed one of the employees before pulling out a knife. And then Cocaine said, let's dice me up and do a line. No, I'm kidding. Cocaine then raised the knife over his head, drawing it back in a manner suggestive of a potential strike. According to a probable cause affidavit, deputies said the man with Cocaine tried to restrain him before both men left the restaurant. According to the release, deputies were able to track down Cocaine, and he was arrested on Wednesday. I wonder if they needed a dog to do that, by the way.
Sniff search, bro.
Yeah, sniff search to find cocaine, right. He faces charges of aggravated assault, burglary with assault, and... no, it's burglary with assault or battery and battery. That's the charge. That is confusing. Burglary with assault or battery and battery, according to the sheriff's office. Try and figure that one out.
And it says that his spouse here, Samantha Vagina, showed up at the courthouse the next day at 10 o'clock.
Samantha Vagina, really? Go figure. Wow. From Virginia. Samantha Vagina from Virginia. Go figure.
Oh, my God, dude, what just happened to me? Okay.
Eddie Cocaine.
Eddie Cocaine. I got that song in my head.
Cocaine.
I don't even know the lyrics. It's the only lyric of the song I know. Cocaine.
Cocaine.
That's how I'll be driving down the road to the song. And then all of a sudden I'll be like, Cocaine.
Eddie Cocaine. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Do you suppose he drives down the street listening to that song and just goes, me?
Eddie, me.
That's it. Just goes, me.
Imagine, I wonder if he got bullied in school. He looks like he got bullied in school.
Probably.
I kind of want to fight him, actually. I'm looking at him.
You want to fight him? It's The Rock versus Cocaine.
Oh, my God. Meatball versus cocaine.
That's right. The emotional meatball versus cocaine.
That's crazy. Dude, you really find the stories, bro. You know what I used to do? Show this one right here, Abnormal Realities.
Yep.
And we used to try this, man. We used to try to find these stories, and I couldn't find these stories ever. I was like, how did Tim do this, man? Because I think a few years ago, I was doing a segment with you about the weird news stuff.
Dumb crime, stupid criminals.
It's just like, I don't know, man. You got to be really good at finding these stories. It takes work.
It does take work. And not only does it take work, but I have a wonderful audience that also sends me these stories as well. Right. So at least...
To tell you the truth, though, dude, I would be a little concerned. You know, I mean, some of these stories, it's like, what are people doing during their free time to be finding stories like this?
I don't question them. I don't question what they do with their free time, Rocky. It's not up to me.
And you know what? I got to tell you something. And in a crazy world, these things is real. They're real, right? And they're serious. But the fact that we can all kind of sit here as a group, as a family, as a bunch of friends, and just, you know, we can talk about the seriousness of it, but still talk about the comedic side of things.
Yeah.
It's very refreshing, brother. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. All right. So if you thought the cocaine thing was nuts, How about a couple of cops that dressed up as Batman and Robin in a bizarre undercover sting? I have a picture. I have a picture for you. I do have a picture for you. Imagine if you, we're not talking like, you know, dressing up like in a cool costume. We're talking like a cop in a Halloween costume.
Oh my God.
That's Inspector Watson over in Britain, who dressed up as the Justice League version of Batman.
Oh my God.
But the guy who dressed up as Robin is
let's see that.
on the next side of comical.
Wait, what is that? That ain't Robin. That's Gilligan from Gilligan's Island.
That's right. It's Gilla Robin.
Dude, it's Gilla Robin.
Yeah.
It's Batman.
Yeah, Gilla Robin. Yeah.
I don't think he was happy that day.
No, he did not look like he was happy. His PC Osman is the, or I believe it's Private Counselor Osman, or whoever they call them over there in Britain. Let me give you the story here, Rocky, because I think you'll find this is quite funny. Police officers went undercover as Batman and Robin in a bizarre sting operation to catch con artists on Westminster Bridge in England. The two Metropolitan Police officers could even be seen running through swarms of people on the central London Bridge before reprimanding the suspects. And I just see Adam West and Burt Ward doing this through people chasing down criminals.
Now, you're saying, when you say Adam, what you're talking about the original Batman?
Yes.
Dude, I'm so proud of myself. I knew that, bro.
Yeah.
I knew that.
See, I knew you'd get it. The officers who are part of the local neighborhood team decided to use the creative tactic after criminals began to recognize them from afar. So they were already being made out by criminals in their regular daily grind. So they decided, let's put on Batman and Robin costumes and get them that way.
It could work, really.
Yeah. Lambeth Met Police shared the video on social media, adding that both men arrested in the video have now been convicted. The force said, we know criminality on Westminster Bridge is a concern for the public. We will continue to target those involved, arrest them, and continue to put them before the courts. One of the men remanded was Kastika Barbu, who was convicted. Barbu, right. You remember he was the elephant that went to the opera with his family? Remember that?
Oh, absolutely.
I love that book. Barbu, the elephant.
It was a book?
Yeah, wasn't that a book? Remember he wore a crown, Barbu the elephant? He had a green suit. He took his family to the opera.
Dude, I do.
Yeah, remember that?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was a great book.
What was I going to say? Okay, you had me on Barbu.
Did I throw you off with that? Did I just totally throw your world off its axis with Barbu the elephant?
You did. Okay, so, when people get locked up, there's certain stature, and I know people disagree with it, but, when you get locked up, depending on what your crimes are and stuff, there's a ranking to that, right? Like, if you're a murderer, like, you're a big dog in prison. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to be the criminals that end up going to prison and have to sit there and try to be the tough guy and tell all the inmates that Batman and Robin were actually the ones that arrested your sorry ass. You know what I'm saying, bro?
And it wasn't even Robin, it was Gilla Robin.
It was Gilla Robin.
Yeah.
It was a generic Timu version of Robin.
Timu version of Robin. You got me. And he's the guy who cuffed and stuffed me. It wasn't even Batman.
God. Holy crap.
And Batman, he didn't even bother to wear his mask. He had it up on his head like he was out of breath.
They just don't look happy at all. Neither one of them.
No. So Kastika Barbu, who took his day off from the opera to get arrested, was convicted the following day and fined how much? How much do you think he was fined for being caught on the bridge there doing whatever it was he was doing?
$50.
925 pounds.
Oh my! Well, what is that equivalent? That's probably like 1,000 then in American, right?
Yeah, it's probably about $1,000 American.
Holy crap, bro! Just to be on the bridge?
Yeah, just to be on the bridge and get caught by Batman and Robin.
Holy crap!
Yeah, they take Westminster Bridge pretty seriously there.
London Bridge too.
Yeah. Well, I hear it's falling down. That's what I hear.
Good one, bro.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
I didn't know if you were serious or not. It took a second. I was like, really? Is that for real now? Is that structural shit going on?
It is, yeah. It's like with 35W, it's the same thing. Yeah. They're gonna try and prop that shit up.
Oh my God.
I'm glad I got you to think about that one for a minute.
Barbu
the elephant. The green suit and the crown and That was a thinking man's joke right there. You really had to go back into your childhood there for a minute to think about.
I got to get Cocaine Cowboy off my freaking page.
The Cocaine Cowboy. Are you still looking at those guys going through Walmart?
I am. No, I'm in Walmart again, looking at those dudes. It's shocking though in Texas. I know this isn't Texas, but the amount of people that do ride horses still, the amount of, even on the side of a highway, side roads, though, they will ride them up to stores, and it's pretty incredible. It's kind of actually cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually kind of cool to see that.
Well, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is cool. And it'd be cool if it happened here in Minnesota. I'd freak out. I'd probably ask for a ride.
Yeah, there's real cowboys, man. And I didn't really know real cowboys were real. And I know that sounds stupid, right?
No.
Because we feel so modern, right? So when we grow up, our definition of cowboys like Billy the Kid, right? To me, that's when I think of cowboys. I moved to Texas, and you'd go into like nice restaurants, and these cowboys, some of these dudes are multimillionaires, right? Because they have such huge ranches.
Yep.
But there'll be these dudes, where they're in restaurants paying $100 a plate. They're wearing their Wranglers all dirty. They still got those kicker things on the back of their boots, that they use to kind of kick the horse when they're riding.
The spurs.
Yeah, they are legitimate, straight to the bone generational cowboys, dude, and it almost feels like you're walking in time. That's how Minnesotan I was, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because our perception of Texas is just what we visualize it as, and then you go there and it's just like, wow, you have modernism, you have like history, you have culture, you have everything in one state. It's pretty incredible. You have guys riding horses to Walmart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, when I went to Tombstone, I was kind of taken aback because I thought, oh yeah, it'll be touristy, and they'll do the touristy thing for me, and you'll see the touristy players, the role players out there, and then you'll actually see, you'll see the actual citizens of Tombstone. They'll be retirees. They'll be out there in ball caps and in jogging suits, and there's a lot of people that wear their actual Western wear and.
Did you ghost hunt when you were there?
What's that?
Did you ghost hunt when you were there?
Yes.
Was it cool?
Oh, yeah. Once in a lifetime stuff. Yeah.
I'm going to go to Goldfield.
Nevada?
I want to go to the hotel.
I've been there.
You've been to the Goldfield? Bro?
Yeah, and hunted with the Ghost Adventures guys. We got a lot to talk about off air, my friend. I'm just telling you. Let's get back to these stories, shall we? Because we're running up against the clock here.
Come on, let's go.
It's time for our Not Safe for Work part of our program. So, folks, here's how it works. If you got kids who are listening, I don't know why. You're probably not that great of a parent, but get them out of the room. If you're listening at work, you want to get your boss out of the room because you're probably not that great of an employee if you got your boss listening to this. Although we appreciate the listen and the follow. Thanks, boss. But you probably want to get him out of the room because we're about to get a little naughty here in this section of the program. We're going to do that, and we'll give you about 5 seconds here. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go, Rocky. We're going to start this with a man who didn't remember that he was in an Applebee's. So, sir, this probably isn't appropriate. You're in an Applebee's. Here's what he did. Cops busted a drunk man who was wearing a pink thong, fake breasts, and a pink wig. Now,
we're not judging.
No, he probably wanted the ladies' night discount, and we all do. But what's that?
2 for ones.
2 for ones. That's right.
Is that worth a pink thong though? Because thongs, okay, it's a dude.
Hey, as long as he shaves his ass, I don't care. Go get that discount. Yeah.
I'm visualizing it the wrong way. I think I'm visualizing it backwards.
Well, let me reframe the conversation. This guy, pink wig, thong. Huh?
It changed everything.
Okay. Yeah, I did change the dynamic there, didn't I? A drunk man wearing a pink wig, fake breasts, and pink thong was arrested Friday evening for causing a disturbance outside the Applebee's, where concerned diners had their eating good in the neighborhood disrupted. Yes, they did. Cops say that 49-year-old Daniel Cirillo was so intoxicated that he was unable to provide his own safety and well-being as he was stumbling around the Applebee's parking lot in, of course, Clearwater, Florida.
Oh, no.
Why is it Clearwater? What is it with Clearwater that this stuff happens in Clearwater all the time?
Dude, there's some interesting people around here, bro. Some interesting people around here. Bro, wait a minute, though. Wait a minute.
Yes.
He was still, okay. First off, his age. He looks like he's 70.
He does look like he's 70.
He smokes a lot of cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing a lot of meth. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't want to say anything because anything I say when it comes to a man wearing girls' underwear is he had to be overflowing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he probably was spilling out a little bit. Yeah.
You know, it had. That's why I like the thong.
Probably not the best fashion choice.
If I was there, I would have videoed it.
I might have went up to him with a pair of granny panties and said, you might want to think about changing.
Yeah. Or go fishing. One of the two.
Or go fishing. The extremely disoriented Sorello tried to enter a vehicle that did not belong to him, according to cops. When questioned by deputies, Sorello was unable to answer basic questions such as where he was and where he came from and what state he was in. The state of drunkenness, I think, is probably the correct answer on that one, but he didn't answer that.
Dude, when you forget what state you're in, dude, that's a good buzz.
Yeah, oh boy, you're
not going to remember much.
That's those specialty drinks they make at Applebee's, and I think he was probably about 6 in.
So pink thong and pink hair, getting into the wrong vehicle.
Fake breasts. Don't forget about
I
those.
don't see anything suspicious there, really.
No,
I mean,
no.
Just depends what part of the country. If you go down to Miami, that's normal.
Well, maybe he was.
Miami scared me a little bit.
Miami did? Clearwater didn't? Miami did?
Dude, you had to say that, didn't you? I don't have a rebuttal.
You shouldn't.
I don't have a rebuttal. Oh, my God. I didn't even have a good one.
An arrest report does not offer further details about Sorello's clothing. It probably shouldn't. They should probably keep that off the books. Sorello was arrested for disorderly intoxication and booked into the county jail where he changed into an orange outfit. It wasn't said whether they offered a thong or granny panties with it.
So they didn't get him for disorderly intoxication, but not nudity in public.
No.
So I suppose his butthole was covered by a string.
Yeah.
So was covered technically.
If you can wear it on the beach, you can wear it to Applebee's.
Hey, dude, there's chicks that go to the beach that literally it's just a string.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to be doing a spoof video, and I'm going to be going to. There's some nude beaches here in Florida.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
And there's retired. Yeah, there's retired nude beaches as well. So, like 55 or 60 over. So I'm actually going to be going there and I'm going to be doing psychic readings, but I have a special ability. Oh. My gift is that I do psychic readings through smell. So I'm going to be going to a nude beach and I'm going to be doing a spoof video. And
please tell me you're blind.
Offering psychic readings through smell.
Okay.
You think somebody will give? Do you think somebody will give?
Oh, yes. Yeah. You'll have clients. Yeah. I'm
like a dog. I got to smell the butt. That's how I can get your true identity.
Oh, my God. No, really?
Dude, we already got the team of people who are doing it, bro. And then the next one, I'm going to go to Walmart dressed as a priest, and I'm going to go in there and start blessing people.
Nice. I'm there for it. I need to see this.
Dude, I look a little priestish.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
There's some priest stuff going on.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah. Let me finish up with Mr. Sorello. We'll get on to the next one here. Following a night in jail, Mr. Sorello, who probably needs your priestly abilities, was freed from custody Saturday after pleading to the misdemeanor charge. He was ordered to pay a total of $570 in fines and court costs. Jail records list Sorello's home address as an apartment complex. Guess where? Near the Applebee's.
Oh, he's probably a regular.
He does eat good in the neighborhood, yes. He's previously resided in North Carolina, where his 22-year marriage ended in divorce in 2023. I can't imagine why.
Oh, so he is. Oh, okay. It's making sense now.
Yeah.
He didn't have. See, his wife was his mommy, his best friend, his caregiver, and he lost it. And now the last 8 months without her, he's lost. So he went on this drunken tirade and decided to put on pink underwear and fake boobs and pink hair.
And he Buffalo Billed that shit.
Speedy Gonzalez style, baby.
He's like, he wanted to wear her skin. No, it was, oh, no. Okay, I'm getting weird.
I wonder if they were her underwear.
Oh, I bet they were.
Oh, that's kind of sick, dude. He missed her that much.
Oh. God, you do need to get that priest outfit out there.
Damn, bro, I gotta go to the beach.
There's people that need to be exercised. I mean, in that way too. He looked like he could lose a few pounds. But, yeah.
Oh my God.
All right, our next story is just going to get worse. Are you buckled in?
I am now.
Okay. A Florida man denied a job interview, allegedly throws bottles of his pee at an employee. You heard that right the first time.
He was the boss?
Well, we'll find out. A Florida man's job-seeking efforts took a grotesque turn this week when he allegedly hurled bottles of his own urine at employees at a local molding supply before...
Employees.
Yes, employees. He went monkey on it. He was like, I didn't get the job, and threw bottles of his own pee at employees of a local molding supply store after being denied an interview. 51-year-old John Connaughton, a registered sex offender with a lengthy criminal history, now faces felony charges for the bizarre attack, which caused over $1,000 in damages and left staff scrambling to clean up the foul mess. What was he, peeing pus?
That's bodily discharge, right? So like when you spit on somebody, you can get in trouble for that.
Right, that's assault.
So that would be assault too then. I'll point down. Like
throwing your urine is assault. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
According to a Pinellas County affidavit, Connaughton visited Doors Molding and More on April 3rd seeking employment. After store staff declined to interview him, he allegedly retaliated by launching multiple urine-filled bottles through the front entrance. Fire in the hole! I don't know why?
I don't know how sometimes to even come up with like a comedical way to justify this behavior, bro. Because, okay, so you're already a registered sex offender. You're not looking to rebuild your image. So you get angry. So instead of trying to be a better person, you get denied a job or whatever. So you decide to throw your pee. How would you feel, Tim, if you felt it and it was still warm?
As it hit me, or as I got the fully closed bottle in it?
It hit you right on the neck, the liquid, and it was hot.
Like I need a shower now? Yeah.
I would be mad, bro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't like bodily stuff.
No.
You know, I don't like boogers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. At that point, I probably see red and it's time to punch somebody out.
You know, you're lucky we're men of peace.
Yeah, but we are men of peace. That's true. As Piss Boy was launching bottles through the front door, he was dousing merchandise and splashing at an employee's bare legs. So, yes, it did hit somebody in the bare necessities, the common bare necessities.
You're so mad if I felt pee on me. I didn't ask for a golden shower.
No, but you got one from 40,000 feet. Witnesses report Connaughton fled on foot, but was chased by the victim, who later told police the suspect threatened him with a raised skateboard. Oh, he got there by skateboard, Rocky.
It's hardcore, bro.
Yeah, before being apprehended. Connaughton's criminal record includes prior charges for lewd and lascivious exhibition, though his latest stunt adds a new layer of infamy. The affidavit notes his pattern of volatility, with the urine assault marking an escalation in confrontational behavior. He now faces charges of felony battery, criminal mischief, and aggravated assault. Guess what his bail was set at? If you went on this piss tirade, how much do you think they'd put you away for?
$25,000.
You got to go lower. It's Florida, my friend. They see this kind of stuff all the time.
That's true. $7,500.
Little higher. We'll go one more level. You went 7,500. You went 25. What's your median?
15.
You're right on. 15,000.
15,000.
Yeah. That's it.
So, yeah, that's $500 with the bond, or $1,500 with the bond.
Yeah, it's $1,500 with a bond. Yep. Isn't that sad?
He was out that night.
Yep. Oh yeah, he is out there throwing urine that night.
There was actually a video I just saw. Where there was a scuffle between people, and a guy reached in the back of his pants, crapped in his hand, and wiped it on the dude's face. Oh. It's real, bro. I don't know, man. If somebody did that to me and a little bit got in my mouth, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If I felt a little bit of that crap get in my mouth, and then I'd have to chew it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I'm jail, bro. I'm going.
I need to revile you with this next paragraph. Connaughton's antics follow a string of odd urine-related offenses nationwide. In Oregon, an unidentified phantom pisser plagued a neighborhood for months by leaving gallon jugs of urine on porches and sidewalks, a case that remains unsolved. It's not just gross, it's a public health risk, said one frustrated resident. Phantom pisser. Does that sound like a...
Dude, they're putting him in like serial killer status.
Yeah, right.
Phantom pisser.
The phantom pisser. That's something for unsolved mysteries, isn't it?
Think about seriously the psychology behind the OCD or the obsession somebody has where they get off on peeing in gallons of buckets, dude, and just leaving it. And what do? Do they hide out and wait to see the people's expression?
Yes, that's what they do. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes. It's the thrill of somebody finding their excrement and the reaction they get, and they giggle, and they're done.
You know, there's people that drink their pee.
There are plenty of people that do, yeah.
Yeah, I thought when a mutual friend, I won't say his name, but he told me that he would drink a little bit every morning. And I thought he was joking, bro. He said it during a live show, so I didn't carry on during the program. And then after the show, I was like, bro, I'm like, that stupid crap you said about drinking a pee was hilarious. You know, he goes, no, I was serious.
No.
Well, then he started breaking down all the, I'm like, okay, bro. Okay. So maybe scientifically you can say that there's some benefits to it. I'll go take a multivitamin. I'm good with that.
Yeah. I'll take a pill.
Pee, bro.
Yeah.
Don't need to even do that. I don't even like looking in the toilet after I pee in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I'll take those vitamins.
Hey, Tim, what do you do next week? Let's go pee bomb some people.
Yeah.
God, bro. What's wrong with people?
I don't know.
That sounds like Batman.
I don't know. There's somebody out there pee bombing people, Rocky.
Bro, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it?
No.
We gotta stop the pee pisser. The next headline is even more salacious. Shots fired at dicks.
You know, every man listening, just pause for a second.
He let a little bit of pee out.
We're like, oh, okay.
Shots fired what? I had to say the headline because it's misleading.
But it resonates. It soaks. It's a soaking headline is what it is.
You never want to hear that headline ever, that shots fired at dicks.
Well, I don't want to hear anything that's in the direction of that, period.
Right. But police were searching for a gunman after shots were fired at Dick's Sporting Goods in Wheaton. Wheaton, Maryland.
Brilliant marketing, though, bro. Brilliant marketing.
It is, though, isn't it?
So why was he mad at Dick's? No good enough lures or what?
Yeah, I guess. It says here that officers were called to the store at around 9:36 p.m. This was on April 8th. According to investigators, the man fired multiple shots into the store before running away. No injuries were reported, and the scene was quickly secured by officers. Authorities say there is no active threats to the community at the time. Police have not released a suspect description and have not said whether the man targeted anyone inside the store. The investigation remains ongoing. I just wanted to shock people by saying shots were fired at Dick's.
Ladies and gentlemen, shots fired at Dick's.
That's right.
I don't know anymore. Could you be a cop? Could you be a cop?
No, because I have Charcot foot, so I couldn't.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay. But, okay, let's say you didn't. Mm-hmm. Could you have the patience to deal with, because, you know, sometimes when we think about being a cop, we're out there catching the bad guys and, you know, patrolling the traffic. And we don't think of going and going after people that are being shooting at, you know, at Dick's, or, you know, cocaine cowboys.
Yeah.
Some of the shit that they deal with, or horses in Walmart, you know, this is not stuff you wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to go deal with that today. You know what I'm saying?
I have an unusual sense of humor. So yeah, I think I could have been. I have a friend who's a former wrestler who is a cop, and he has that same unusual sense of humor and gets up every day. Yep, gets up every day and loves his job.
You ever hear of a wrestler named Steamboat?
What about a wrestler named Steamboat?
Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Yeah.
Is it Ricky? No, Taylor. Something. I know his son Chaz Taylor. Was it Steamboat? His dad was Steamboat. Old AWA days. Those, farther back. Short, bigger guy. God, what was it? Was it Steamboat or something else? I'll find out who it is. Okay. I'm really good friends with his son. His son was a professional wrestler. Dude, I think about you all the time. Whenever I'm with Chaz. Yeah. Chaz Taylor is his name. Chaz Taylor.
Okay.
And he's been in all the circuits, dude. So, I mean, you had to have seen him sometime or another.
Okay.
But it's so cool to listen to these stories and the experiences. And the reason why I admire it so much is because I've known that this is something that's been a big part of you, and you've done the announcing. And so it's kind of cool through my career here to meet some of these people at a professional level that you've worked with in the past. And it's a different life, dude, that people don't even realize, man.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Big time. Yeah.
And they're crippled. They're all crippled.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately. Even I have terrible injuries from only the couple of matches I've wrestled.
I still want to hit somebody with the chair, bro. We've talked about this.
Well, it's not going to be me, but I'll find you somebody.
Please?
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Do I? Oh, I got to hold back, don't I?
Well, yeah, you probably should pull it. You don't want it, because if you hit somebody hard, they're gonna ask for a receipt, so they're gonna hit you hard.
I heard that language too, bro. That's what they say. It's a receipt.
Yep.
So if you overdo it in the ring, they're going to let you know.
Yep.
They're going to punch you.
Oh, and you're going to get it twice as bad. So
I don't want receipts either. I don't want receipts.
So
I'd rather ride a horse through freaking Walmart. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah. Take care of your brother in the ring. Otherwise, you're going to get it twice as bad.
Hey, by the way, folks, what Tim should have probably said right at the beginning is the emotional meatball is the true master of ADHD of talk radio. So if you probably noticed a few times, I take things to the opposite playing field when I'm supposed to be over here. My bad. I apologize.
And that's why the segment's twice as long as usual. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it.
I thought about that.
That's okay. We haven't visited in a long time. So
you got a lot of editing to do.
No, I'm not going to edit this at all. I find this entertaining.
It is fun. Dude, we could actually do a morning show just doing stuff like this.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be morning by the time we finish.
Dude, it's like 2:41 in the morning right now.
It is?
No.
No, I'm kidding.
You're going to be up for 24 hours.
Well, I have been up I've been up since 3:30 this morning, so we're going to wrap this up soon. Actually, we have I think 4 stories left. 2 of them are of naked men, so I don't know what that does for you, but we'll combine this in a twofer, and we'll just tell you that we got a couple of naked men running around. The first one is a man who's arrested after walking naked on a highway. We go to Wayne County, Kentucky, of course, because why wouldn't they walk around naked in Kentucky? We say it's Monticello up here, but it's Monticello, isn't it? Down south.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. Monticello man was arrested and facing numerous charges after police say he was found walking naked along a highway. According to an arrest citation, deputies with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office responded to a report of a nude man walking on, I say KY 320 or 3286. It's Kentucky 3286. They located James K. King, who told deputies he was going to get some pants. That's why he was out naked.
Makes sense to me. I mean, Scotty Roberts, he woke up one morning at the Renaissance Festival in a field naked. So, it happens to the best.
Well, we're hoping good things happen that he woke up naked.
He still hasn't really indulged. I don't think he remembers. But so I just came up with my own.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, me too. I'm filling in the blank with in a good way for the brother that he woke up naked in the middle of a field. By the way, did you hear who's going to be one day only at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival, August 16th?
Oh,
Penn and Teller.
Shut up.
Serious. They're celebrating, I think is it their 50th anniversary of first performing at the Renaissance Festival? And they're going to be there one day only. And they're going to be performing live performances at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival.
That is historical, bro.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's awesome. Tim and I, our whole circle of friends there, they're all or have been involved in the Renaissance. So I'm not part of it, but I've heard a lot of things throughout the years with the Renaissance and the people like Jim Cunningham and all them guys, and it's going to be moving and not moving. And it says, I do the ghost hunts there for Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, here we go. This is why these shows go so long. See what I'm saying? We're talking about ghost hunts.
That's
I'm
all
sorry.
right.
Let's get back.
That's okay. But I just, I wanted to bring that full circle. What it has to do with naked Kentuckians, I have no idea. But maybe there'll be some.
That makes sense, though, because if you go to a gas station in the boonies of Kentucky, you're going to see things. You're going to see things. You just don't ask questions. It's real. Yeah. It's weird things happen in the deep woods.
There you well, and that should be a slogan for life. It really should be.
It really should be. That's a shirt.
Officer said he appeared to be under the influence as a shock of a controlled substance and became disorderly, repeatedly kicking the door of a patrol car while being taken to jail. Because
Visualize it. A naked man kicking a patrol car. Just saying.
I got it. It perfectly fits in with
baby. Speed bagging. That's all I'm saying.
That's right. Yeah. Do you think he got the spit hood put on too when they took him in?
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
100%.
King is charged with indecent exposure, second degree, public intoxication, controlled substance, and disorderly conduct, second degree. He was also arrested with 6 outstanding Wayne County District Court warrants because he won the big prize, which includes multiple counts of contempt of court, failure to appear, public intoxication, criminal trespassing, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Court records show King left rehab on an agreed order related to several of the underlying charges. That's right, he was naked and free from rehab.
Bro, he's going to prison.
Yeah, he is.
That dude's going to prison, and he could be as naked as he wants there.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Well, be careful. Be careful what you wish for.
What's his name?
His name is James K. King.
So it's now Jamie K. King.
Yes. And he can run around the halls naked yelling, "King me!" Yeah. Meanwhile, we go all the way to Disneyland's New Orleans Square out there on the West Coast. We go from East Coast to West Coast, where a man was arrested for roaming around naked in New Orleans Square in Disneyland.
Disneyland. Why Disneyland?
Well, because there's more people to watch you there.
Oh, my God, bro.
Yeah, if you're going to be naked, you might as well have a crowd. Man's in custody after being trespassing at Disneyland and roaming around naked. The incident happened Saturday in the park's New Orleans Square. Workers tried to steer visitors away from the disturbing sight as the man climbed one of the buildings, exposing himself to people below. Because, hey, you got to have a stage, right? He was arrested shortly after for trespassing, public nudity, and being under the influence of narcotics. Because why not? ABC 7. What's that?
It kind of seems to be a thing, under the influence to get naked, So my son is a manager at Burlington here in Hudson, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And so in Hudson, Wisconsin, or Hudson, Florida area, there's a lot of drug addiction here. Mm-hmm. And do we have that problem? A lot of the flashing.
Oh, yeah.
They stop and they'll go into a store and just be like, they'll do that whole, and they have this fascination of wanting to show people. You know what I mean? Now,
really?
Reality is, if I'm out in public with my wife or my children, and you post something like that, we're both going, right? We're both going. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. In a peaceful namaste type of way, of course.
Right. Yeah. Namaste. Let's both get in the cop car together.
And chances are he wasn't showered.
Yeah. He probably was a little rank. Yeah.
A little rough around the edges.
Yeah. ABC 7 reached out to Disneyland for a statement, and they said he was naked and he was high. That was the statement. Yeah. And they deferred to Anaheim police, who probably said the exact same thing. And they made the arrest as well. The agency said the man, who had not been identified, lives in Canada.
Thank God.
So they're wild and free up in Canada.
Thank God, bro. These are all been Floridians, man. Thank God we finally got it out of country.
Yeah, finally we got it out of another country. There were no reports of anyone being injured in the incident. No further details were immediately known. So.
Yeah, there's something going on with these people. These creepers, man, flashing people like that. And you don't do that stuff at a kid's carnival park or whatever it's called. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Disneyland. Yeah,
just Disneyland.
I know it's the place of hopes and dreams, but you better be clothed when you're in Disneyland. That's all I know.
You'll be dreaming if you're not.
That's right. Yeah, you'll be dreaming in a jail cell. Yep, that's right. All right, Rocky, we're going to wind this up with 2 stories here. The first one is, how should I put this? What do they call it when you're one thing but you wish to be another?
Um, um,
Is it delusional?
that would work. That would work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our next subject is delusional. That's what it is. A priest is suing the gay dating app Grindr, not aware of an arbitration agreement. It seems that a Catholic Monsignor who alleges in a lawsuit that Grindr's improper sharing of his private information has derailed his hopes to be a bishop, says in new court papers that he had no idea when he began using the gay dating app that he would be required to arbitrate any disputes.
Okay, hold on a second. At the beginning of this story, did you mention Catholic priest?
Yes, Catholic priest.
Okay.
Wants to be a bishop.
Okay.
He
has a profile on
Grindr. On Grindr. He was on Grindr, the gay dating app Grindr.
Okay. All right. I mean, this all makes sense. I just want to make sure I'm hearing it right. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So now because his public information is exposed, now he can't be a bishop.
No, he can't be a bishop. Nope. No.
No. So having gay sex doesn't disqualify him.
Evidently not. Just being on Grindr does.
I mean, I should have said it like that. I apologize. Actually, just having sex. Right?
Yeah.
Because as a Catholic priest, you commit to celibacy.
Yes, you have to be chaste. Yes, you have to be pure.
That's a rough word, chaste. That makes it sound more painful.
It does, doesn't it?
You have to be chaste.
If you ask this former altar boy, is a bunch of bullshit. Really, priests are just they're human.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should be human.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to ask you that then. Next question. Should Catholic priests, I had to say Catholic priests, should they be allowed to get married?
Yes.
I agree 100% because a lot of things would have never happened if they're able to get a little shit on the side. You know what I'm saying? If they're able to go home and get a little ass, then they wouldn't have been horny all the damn time. If that makes sense.
Well, and if you want to, okay, so let's really piss off some people real quick. Okay. If you want to believe the classic religious tome, not necessarily the Bible, but the classic religious tome, Jesus was a rabbi. A rabbi always took a wife. If you want to believe Mary Magdalene was probably his wife.
I believe 100%.
So 100%. Rabbi Jesus probably had a wife. And he was probably not chaste, right?
Yeah, well, that term only came into existence centuries after. I don't think Jesus ever even said that, man, if you're going to follow me, man, you can't be going to get no ass.
Right.
He never said that, dude. So I think
he was the one washing the feet of hookers. So,
Oh, I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, I mean.
Yeah, we just pissed off a bunch of people.
Yeah, we probably did. So I don't think it's fair for the Catholic Church to say, you know what, we're going to put you on the old chastity train and keep you there. It's not fair to do that.
No, it's not. And it's not fair what they do to other people that are victims of that too.
Yeah.
So did the diocese find out about this?
Well, in 2021, a Catholic media site, The Pillar, reported that Monsignor Jeffrey Burrill had been using the app, and he subsequently had to step down from his position as the General Secretary of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, that according to the Los Angeles Superior Court lawsuit. On Wednesday, Burrill's lawyers filed court papers with Judge Armen Tamzarian in opposition to Grindr's motion to compel arbitration of Burrill's claims for fraud and deceit, as well as violations of the Consumer Legal Remedies Act and the state unfair competition law. In their court papers, Grindr lawyers maintain that signing an arbitration agreement is a prerequisite to creating a Grindr account and using the app, and that Burrill could have opted out of the agreement and did not. A hearing on Grindr's motion is scheduled for April 22nd. In a brief sworn declaration, Burrill says he may have used Grindr as early as 2012. I do not recall seeing an arbitration agreement with Grindr, Burrill says, because I do not recall seeing an arbitration agreement. I also do not recall if I ever opted out of an arbitration agreement. Nobody knows when you sign up for an app what you're opting in for and opting out of. You just agree to the app and you put it on your phone.
So he's been dating for over 10 years?
At 12, I believe. 10 to 12, yeah.
Is this one of those New Age Catholic churches?
It might be. It might be an old Catholic church. You know, the old Catholic church, technically, you can date.
I didn't know that.
Now the old Catholic Church is not recognized by the Catholic Church. It's an offshoot.
Do you want to hear something really interesting?
Sure.
The longest running Black Catholic church is in New Orleans, and it was established in the 1700s.
Really?
I went there, bro. It was fascinating. I mean, no, it was heartbreaking. They had things displayed outside that heartbreaking to see. It's run down. But my point on it is that we always have this perception of certain things. But it was actually officially made a Catholic church in the early 1800s, but started in the 1700s. And it's always had a Black Catholic priest since day one.
Really?
And it's interesting because the things that we always hear compared to, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things about our own history right here.
Yeah.
That when I found that out, I was just like, wow, that's completely opposite than what we're taught. You know what I'm saying? It's like maybe this is stuff that we should actually hear about, because to me, I was inspired.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know what brought me there. I don't know what brought me to that.
Well,
priests.
the fact that we're on this.
Churches, priests.
Churches, priests.
But you know what's going to happen though, brother? Nothing's going to happen. They'll say he's going to lose that position, just like one of the popes.
Yeah, they'll take it away from him.
Popes at the Vatican, his job before he became a pope was to find a place to send all the pedophile priests. That was his job. Was to go find a place they're going to go pray for the rest of their life. And it's just like, no, his job should have been finding what prison they're going to send them to. Yep. Right? If you want to take the responsibility of putting on the cloth and representing the word of Jesus, then you need to take that responsibility on. And if you breach that to me is the highest thing you could breach. It's your relationship with your higher power.
That's right.
And these priests that have taken the responsibility to spread his message have disavowed that. And they should pay just like every other human pays for criminality.
That's right. Because one of the things that Jesus did do was shepherd the children and protect the children.
Protect the children. I got a shirt, save the children.
Yep. Yeah.
That's it, brother. That's it. That's to me, when people ask me about my how I am religiously, I say I practice the message of Jesus.
Yeah. That's
where I'm at. There's my religion. I treat people how I want to be treated. And yes, I will wash the feet of prostitutes and the homeless. And I will eat with homeless, what's that term they say? It's better to have crumbs with bums than steaks with snakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
exactly
me,
right.
That's
exactly right. All right. The last story. Would you do this with a flight attendant, though? Here's the last story, Rocky. I'm going to totally turn things on its ear. We're going to come right back to the old home state of Minnesota for this last one. And this is how we end Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals today. A Minnesota nurse is facing federal charges for allegedly grabbing a flight attendant's genitals. I don't know that this happens with in-flight service. Let me just read this story. If convicted, 64-year-old Jody Lynn Sherry Berg, yes, it's not a guy who did this.
Oh, I was waiting for a guy's name.
Could be imprisoned for up to 20 years. A 64-year-old licensed practical nurse is facing federal charges after she allegedly grabbed a flight attendant's genitalia while traveling from Las Vegas to North Dakota.
Maybe she was doing a physical.
That could be. Maybe they looked ill.
I'm not judging. I mean, flight attendants are busy. You know what I'm saying?
They are. They have a very busy lifestyle.
They're always on the move. So why not have the nurse practitioner just come around on the flight?
Yep. Just say, hey, turn your head and cough.
No problem.
Jody Lynn Sherry Berg was arrested Tuesday on one count of interference with flight crew members, according to federal court documents reviewed by The Independent. The altercation occurred January 16th aboard an Allegiant air flight from Harry Reid International Airport to Grand Forks International, and states an indictment unsealed April 8th in a Minnesota federal court. Sherry Berg, who is a Bemidji, Minnesota resident, yeah, sure, you betcha, did knowingly interfere with the performance of the duties of a male flight attendant identified in court filings as JM when she assaulted JM by grabbing JM's Jimmy.
So she just decided to grab his balls out of nowhere.
Yeah, just cop a feel. Attorney Jean Brandel, a public defender assigned to represent Sherry Berg at her first court appearance, told The Independent that she was not at liberty to speak to you about the case. That was a direct quote. She was a little mean about it. Yeah. Yeah. Brandel. What's that?
Or some.
Brandel declined to provide details of what led up to the altercation, but is not laid out in the indictment. An Allegiant Air spokesperson did not immediately respond to a request for comment. A fellow traveler captured cell phone video of Sherry Berg twice grabbing the flight attendant's crotch. Fargo, North Dakota NBC affiliate KVLY reported at the time of the incident. Now, Sherry Berg was initially arrested upon landing by the Grand Forks Police Department on one count of providing false information to law enforcement. According to a probable cause affidavit in the case, Sherry Berg at first gave responding officers a fake name. Grabby McFeely Hands, I think, was the fake name.
Grabby McFeely.
Grabby McFeely Hands. I come from Irish background. However, a search of Sherry Berg's belongings turned up a Minnesota driver's license that revealed her true identity. Did they think they weren't going to go through her belongings?
Some people just don't make sense. You know what I mean? They just don't make sense.
Yeah.
So the flight attendant wasn't like super offended enough the first time.
Oh, I think he was, but he's got to keep doing his job. There's not a lot of room to negotiate, right?
Yeah, you do got one aisle. You got one lane.
Yeah.
You got to walk by that person every time.
Yeah.
Sherry
Berg.
Sherber.
The state charge was dropped on April 3rd, but the feds, they don't give up. The still sealed federal indictment was handed down, court records show. At that point, following her arrest this week, Sherry Berg was released on a personal recognizance bond in order to stay away from her alleged victim and any witnesses who may still be called to testify. Now, if convicted, how many years in prison do you think Miss Sherry Berg will get?
That probably could be pretty serious. I'm going to say 12.
That's a pretty stiff penalty, if I do say so myself. But let's just say we're rising with the penalty here.
What?
Miss Sherry Berg could face up to 20 years in prison.
So she would serve 14.
Yeah. She's scheduled to appear in...
grabbing a guy's balls?
Oh, she might have got a little cock and balls in there for her money.
Gonna double fist. Yeah, but dude, there's dudes that are in there for selling fentanyl and cocaine that are doing half that. There's a guy who got caught with 5 pounds of cocaine. He got 7 years. I know it's bad, right? I know it's bad. But I can't see sending somebody to prison for 20 years just for grabbing somebody's ball sack.
That's sexual assault of a federal employee, my friend.
It is. It is. And the federal name, just putting that federal to it, changes everything.
Yep.
It changes everything. Yep. Like if you go to Washington, D.C., everything's federal there. Mm-hmm. Everything. So a speeding ticket is federal. So everything tripled.
Flight attendants are federal employees. That's what when people go nuts on an airplane, they don't realize you're messing with a federal employee.
I didn't even know they were federal employees, honestly.
Yep.
Holy shit. I thought it was federal just because of crossing state lines.
Well, there's that too. That's a RICO charge if you go back and forth.
Yep.
So,
dude, screwed, bro. So, ladies and gentlemen, please take our advice. If you're ever flying on a plane, no matter how much tequila you had before you got on the flight, do not touch anybody's balls. Okay?
No. Thank you. Leave their genitalia intact.
At least get permission.
Well, if they're willing, yeah. At least
or video.
Join the Mile High Club on your own time.
God, dude.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Yeah. So,
and,
yeah.
You ain't going to have no prison cred. You know, there is no prison cred for grabbing somebody's balls on a plane. Just murder.
The only thing she can hope for is if she does 20, that she can get that time in the prison infirmary.
She's going.
Yep.
No, it's like I'm compelled to follow every one of these stories.
See?
I got to know what happens.
April 21st is when her arraignment is. So.
It's 7 days, folks. 6 days and a wake up in her language.
You've already got her convicted. Look at you.
Bro, I love being on the radio with you, man. I appreciate you.
So we'll follow Nurse Grab Ass all the way up until her arraignment. No, I'm kidding.
Nurse Grab Ass.
Nurse Grab Ass.
God.
So Rocky, tell people where they can check you out, where they can follow you through Stucci Media, and where they can see you.
StucciMedia.com. That's kind of my little baby. It's STUCCI media.com. It's just a news site. We have some podcasts on there. We're just starting now to bring the podcast on. I wanted to make sure the site was established before we brought shows on. But yeah, StucciMedia.com. And then on the social medias, it's ROCCI for my first name. A lot of people get that screwed up. But yeah, look me up. I'm friends with Timmy on all the socials, but known Tim for a long time, and he is a true brother to me. And there's not many people I'll do it for, but I'll give my life for him and his family. We go way back, and this guy's been through a lot. And anybody who loves me as much as Tim, have me for life. So, dude, I do appreciate you, man. I love the hell out of you.
I appreciate and love you too, brother. I appreciate you. And man, talk about anybody who'll come through in a pinch for you. Rocky will do it. He's the man. That's for sure.
When Timmy calls, you act. That's it. That's it. That's what brothers do.
Well, I appreciate you, brother. That's for sure. And I had a great time tonight. And I
took the show over an extra hour, but
no, that's okay. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And again, we'll have to do it again real soon. So and do this again real soon because it was a lot of fun. But that'll do it for today, folks. For Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. I want to remind you, Kelli Brink has a new book out there, and we have a link in the description of this program. We want you to go ahead and check it out. That book, and let me just grab the title of it real quick here. That book is True Crime Sleepy Tales Volume 3, Love Gone Wrong is the name of the book. We have a link to it in the description of this program. We want you to go get that book. I want to thank Kelli for being here today. And by the way, another person who is in love with the paranormal, Kelli, has been all over investigating as well. So somehow we're going to get everybody together, and we're going to do one big ghost hunt, I think, someday. So. And we're going to have Kelli back as well to talk paranormal on a different episode of Darkness Radio. So, so we have links to Kelli's YouTube page as well. She has a wonderful podcast as well, having to do with the true crime side of things and her podcast. So, again, folks, check out Kelli's book, check out Rocky's website, check out the podcast on Rocky's website as well. And when we come back tomorrow, Supernatural News, we'll have Jess back tomorrow. And at the end of the week, an old friend of ours that you've seen on television will be back with us. I'll give you a clue tomorrow as to who's going to be back with us. We're going to talk about Food to Die For. There's your big clue as to who's coming on at the end of the week. We'll see you. More great shows the rest of the week here tomorrow for Darkness Radio. For Rocky Stucci, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday.